Hello, my dears. This video is released thanks to your support. This funny story begins with the guy Yuri really liked one girl, but after some time, their relationship fell apart. The girlfriend yelled at the guy that he only thinks about himself and called him a selfish freak. 2 long years have passed since the breakup of the previous relationship. The main character gradually calmed down. Yuri noticed a familiar girl. He thought that something incredible had happened. The main character saw a beautiful girl with red hair in front of him. He decided that fate gave him a second chance. Lizzie was an exchange student from the UK. She told her friend that he was a bit late. The main character thought excitedly to himself that this was a second chance, which he was happily missing. Lizzie told her friend that she wanted to buy him a watch. She added that they had been dating for 3 months. The friend invited the guy to dinner. Yuri thought to himself that their relationship would be unexpected for a guy like him. The main character happily thought that his girlfriend was an athlete. Yuri thought to himself that his girlfriend was also approximately a student. The guy knew that other boys were looking at his girlfriend. He realized that she was simply a beauty. Yuri knew that Lizzie was the perfect girl he wanted to see every day. The chief remembered an event that happened 3 months ago. Lizzie walked up to the guy and told him she liked him. She asked him out. Yuri was standing in the school building with his girlfriend. That's when what was later called the 8th wonder of the world of their school began. Lizzie was sitting with her friend at the table. She asked him to say that he liked it here too. Yuri watched as his girlfriend held the cat in her arms. He didn't understand why she chose him. The main character was playing a computer game with his girlfriend. They were very happy. The girlfriend told the guy with surprise that time flew by very quickly. He reminded that they met at 6. Lizzie suggested to her friend to go and buy something to drink. The guy agreed with her. The girlfriend happily ran to the side and shouted to the guy that she would be back soon. Yuri remained sitting on the bench. Lizzie waved goodbye to her friend. He watched her go. Yuri waved his hand to his girlfriend too. He was glad that he could enjoy his everyday life. The main character didn't know that big changes were coming in his life. An unfamiliar girl appeared nearby. A stranger with yellow hair approached the guy from behind. She studied him carefully. The girl asked the main character with great surprise if his name was Yuri. The main character thought to himself that he had been enjoying life up until that moment. The guy confirmed that his name was Yuri. The girl happily replied that she was not mistaken. The stranger said that her name was Benji and she was Lizzie's friend. Benji cheerfully asked the guy if she could sit next to him. The main character thought that his girlfriend Lizzie's cousin was sitting in front of him. The guy looked at his new acquaintance cheerfully. The girl sat and smiled at him. Yuri decided to himself that all of Lizzie's relatives were also beautiful. Benji looked at the main character with great attention and distrust. The guy realized that the girl was judging him. The girl asked the guy with displeasure if he was dating Lizzie. The main character was very surprised. Benji told the guy that she wanted to tell him something very unexpected. The girl, sitting on a bench, decided to ask the guy next to her for something very seriously. Benji pointed her finger at the protagonist and angrily demanded that he immediately break up with Lizzie. The guy fell silent. He never expected such a strict request from his new acquaintance. Yuri asked his girlfriend what she told him. She repeated her request. Benji angrily asked the guy, "Does he really not like her?" Yuri answered the girl in fear that he had misunderstood something. The interlocutor once again demanded that the guy break up with Lizzie. The interlocutor explained to the surprised guy that he was destroying the future. Lizzie demanded once again that he forget about the girl once and for all. Yuri calmly explained to his surprised interlocutor that she might be right. The main character very angrily told his interlocutor that he would never break up with Lizzie. Yuri explained to this girl that he and Lizzie loved each other, and that she herself was the first to ask him out. Benji frowned. She told the guy that he left her no choice. The girl screamed that she couldn't leave it like this. She tried to stab the guy with a knife. The girl thought angrily that if the guy didn't want to break up with Lizzie, she would kill him. The main character was surprised and looked with great excitement at the knife in his girlfriend's hand. Yuri thought to himself in fear that all this was unreal and that he saw only a toy in the girl's hand. Yuri touched the knife with his hand. He noticed with surprise that he had cut himself. Benji looked at the guy very angrily and said goodbye to him forever. The girl tried to stab the main character with a knife. He barely managed to dodge. Yuri jumped back sharply. He was very scared and decided that his new acquaintance wanted to kill him. Suddenly, the guy felt the girl go silent. He opened his eyes in fear. Lizzie came up. She angrily grabbed the girl by the hand and asked, "What is she doing with her boyfriend?" Lizzie suddenly and angrily called the girl Benji's father. She was still holding her hand. Benji fell silent. She looked at the girl with displeasure and said nothing. Lizzie looked at her boyfriend with great excitement. She didn't know what to tell him. Lizzie asked her interlocutor angrily again what she was doing. The main character and the girl looked at Lizzie with a very surprised look. They were both silent. Yuri pointed his finger at his interlocutor in fear. He wanted to ask about something. The main character asked Lizzie with great surprise why she calls the girl father. Benji wanted to say that she is her friend's father. The main character was surprised. He could not understand. How can a child be a father to someone? Lizzie threw the girl far away. She started saying something about relatives of relatives. Lizzie told her friend very displeasedly that it was very painful for her to look at her. The girlfriend asked the main character if he wanted to go home today. Lizzie managed to block the flying bullet with the card in her hand. She shouted to her friend that she would take Benji home. The main character looked in amazement at the smoking card in his girlfriend's hand. Lizzie asked her friend if she really thought she couldn't stop a flying bullet. The main character was very scared. Lizzie told her interlocutor that she wanted to kill someone who was not related to work for the second time. Lizzie said that if Benji didn't stop on her own, she would have to stop her. Lizzie told her interlocutor with a smile that all this was very reckless. Benji suggested to her friend that Ta herself tell everything to the main character. Benji told her friend that she didn't want to tell the main character anything. The mercenary told the guy that he now realized that Lizzie was not the nice girl he started dating. Benji explained that Lizzie is a first-class killer. She is also the heiress of the Springfield family. This family is famous mercenaries. The girl said that Lizzie was her only child and heir. The Springfield family has a centuries-old history. To achieve their goal, the mercenaries are ready to change their name or nationality. The Springfield family has been famous since ancient times. Mercenaries are a symbol of fear for all who were involved in the world offers. A family of killers successfully carries out assassinations in any country in the world. Benji wanted to tell the main character everything about his girlfriend. The girl said that the main character is dating the next heir of the Springfield family. She explained that Lizzie is a genius among geniuses. Benji asked the guy if he now understood who he was flirting with. The girl told the surprised guy that he was not suitable for this role. Benji asked her friend how she can be in a relationship without revealing herself in any way. A friend asked Lizzie, "Is a relationship with a guy worth that much?" Benji asked her friend to come back. She added with a smile that she still had a lot to learn. The girl asked the main character if he understood everything this time. She added that all this concerns only their family. Benji told the main character very angrily that this time he would definitely die. The main character listened in surprise. The girlfriend said that Lizzie was now standing at a crossroads. She could choose life or death. The girl decided to try the answer. She headed towards Lizzie. The girl demanded a very quick answer from her interlocutor. She told strictly that their acquaintance could end here. Benji demanded that the girl tell her just one simple thing. The girl told the main character that life is very long. There is no reason for Lizzie to be his girlfriend. The main character remembered his ex-girlfriend. She shouted at him that he would die alone in Silvertown. Yuri thought to himself with displeasure that he couldn't confess his feelings, even when they were mutual. The main character grabbed his face with his hand, very displeased and disappointed. The guy decided to say something to the girls. They looked at him with great excitement. Yuri told his interlocutors that he is very shy. He added that he does not believe those people who say that they like him. The guy said shyly that he might never have such a chance again. The main character felt confident in himself. He realized that he could not agree to Benji's proposal. Yuri shouted loudly that he would rather die than refuse. He will continue to date Lizzie. The main character told his girlfriend in surprise that he still didn't know much about her. Yuri shouted that all this was not very important. Benji listened to him very attentively. Yuri said that if Lizzie had any secrets, he wasn't interested in it at all. Benji was very disappointed. The girl angrily shouted at the guy that if he wanted, she would kill him right now. The girl was very surprised. She rummaged through her clothes to find a weapon. Lizzie came up. She grabbed her friend by the hand and asked if she heard the guy's words. Lizzie told her friend that she had nothing more to do there. She added that she should leave. The mercenary began to resist. She tried to hit the girl. Lizzie was able to block her opponent's blow with her hands very deftly. Lizzie grabbed the girl's hand with her own to stop her. Benji decided to try to free herself. She pushed her feet off the ground with all her might. The girl jumped up and during the jump kicked her opponent with all her might. Benji angrily asked her friend if she was really going to continue to behave like this. Lizzie told her rival that she couldn't beat her and therefore wanted to take it out on her boyfriend. The main character stood behind his girlfriend in fear. Lizzie angrily shouted at her interlocutor that her boyfriend did not give in to her intimidation. Lizzie asked the mercenary, "Has she really decided to go against her?" Benji thought about it, deeply touched by her interlocutor's words. Suddenly, the mercenary asked Lizzie if she would really be okay. The rival told the girl that she now looked like a child who was absorbed in defending herself about a hamster. Benji told the girl that it mattered how many times she told herself that she could keep the hamster safe. The hamster became wary. He looked at the approaching person with great attention. Lizzie told her friend that there was no way that Ta could physically protect the hamster. Benji said very angrily to her interlocutor that everything would be exactly like that. Lizzie angrily asked her rival, "Who will die now?" Lizzie told her dissatisfied interlocutor that the guy Yuri will continue to live the way he lives now. Lizzie sternly said that Yuri will not receive a single wound, no matter how hard Benji tries. The girl looked very sternly at her rival and said that everything would be like this. The mercenary fell silent. She thought over the words she had heard with great surprise. Benji smiled wickedly and slyly and said that she was very interested. The mercenary turned around. She told her interlocutor that she was choosing comfort over conviction. Benji told her interlocutor that she would see if she could keep her word. The mercenary looked at her interlocutor and said that they would see how it all ended. Benji turned around and started to walk away. She yelled at her rival to try harder. The main character was very surprised. He looked after the girl leaving with great bewilderment. Yuri came to his senses. He looked at his girlfriend with a big questioning gaze. The girlfriend apologized to her boyfriend for not telling him anything. The main character smiled. He realized that he had nothing to worry about now. Yuri said with a smile to his interlocutor that she did not need to apologize. He added that he would try to do everything so that everything would be fine between them. Yuri said to her friend with a smile that she could do as she wanted. He added that he would follow him. The girl was very happy with these words. She smiled at her friend. Yuri pointed his finger after the departing mercenary. He told the girl that her father accepted his answer. Lizzie grabbed the guy with her hands angrily. She shouted that he didn't know anything about her father. Suddenly, the girl became very worried. A very important thought dawned on her. Lizzie held the protagonist in her arms. She said that something could happen to him. The girl looked closely at the guy and said that something could happen to him tonight. Lizzie looked at the main character with excitement and said that they could sleep at his place if he agreed. The main character was very excited. He was touched by the words of his girlfriend, who offered to spend the night at his place. Yuri was surprised that the girl was going to sleep at his house. He remembered that he lived in a one-room apartment. The guy was very scared. He thought that something irreparable might happen. Yuri was walking with his girlfriend and looking around. He tried to distract himself somehow. The guy and the girl approached the building. She asked if he lived here. Yuri answered that this was his house. Suddenly, there was a very strong explosion. The house began to fly apart. The guy and his girlfriend saw a huge explosion and flash where the house had been. A powerful shockwave affected people. The girl was very scared. The main character was very upset. He realized that his house had just exploded. Yuri was very upset. The girl grabbed him and said that it was very late. The main character was in despair. He fell to the ground. The girl did not understand why everything happened like this. Lizzie began to look around carefully. She noticed her rival standing nearby. The girl noticed how the mercenary next to her was looking out from around the corner at her. Benji held a remote control in her hands. She used it to blow up the house. Lizzie got angry. She didn't understand why the mercenary wanted to blow up a civilian. The girl got angry. She was very unhappy with the mercenary's behavior. Lizzie looked at her frightened friend who was standing on the ground. The girl told the main character that they had no other choice. She offered to spend the night at her place. The main character was very surprised. Benji heard the same words and she was also surprised. The main character's house was in ruins. He and his girlfriend went to her. Yuri came to his girlfriend. She had a very big and beautiful house. Lizzie asked her interlocutor why he was standing near the gate. She added that she felt awkward. The main character asked the girl shyly, "Can he really come in?" The girlfriend didn't understand what the guy meant. Lizzie said she can't keep calm when her boyfriend has nowhere to go to live. The girlfriend was standing near the gate. Yuri said very excitedly to his interlocutor that he had never been in the girl's room. The girl was surprised. She looked at her friend with great attention. Lizzie smiled. She realized that her friend was just overexcited. Yuri smiled and told the girl that she had nothing to worry about. Lizzie took hold of the pen. The girlfriend told the main character not to worry. She added that nothing scares her. Lizzie opened the door. She said that she was happy no matter who came to her house. Yuri and her friend entered the house. They were surprised to see Benji sitting there. The main character and the girl were very surprised. They did not expect that they would have a mercenary at home. Benji smiled evilly at the guests and said that her tea had already gotten cold while she was waiting for them. The mercenary said with displeasure that her interlocutors returned home very late. Lizzie jumped up to hit her rival. The girl pounced on the mercenary. The cup with the drink flew to the side. Benji asked her daughter very angrily, "Why is she doing this?" Lizzie angrily asked the mercenary what she was doing here. The girl answered her interlocutor that she was very cruel. The girl angrily shouted that it was because of her that Yuri's house blew up. The guest said in a calm voice to her interlocutor that she had not come here because of her. The mercenary decided to explain to the girl in detail why she came here. Benji told the frightened protagonist that she had business with him. Lizzie bravely jumped out. She blocked her friend with her own hands. The mercenary told the girl to move away. Lizzie angrily replied that she would not move an inch. Benji put her arms around her friend and pressed herself close to her. She decided to tell her something. The mercenary extended her hand to the protagonist and said calmly that she wanted to give him advice. Benji told the very surprised guy that even a person like him deserves a chance. The mercenary said that she was acting this way because she was worried about her daughter. It was her responsibility as a parent. Benji said she doesn't want her daughter to become a widow because of a guy like Yuri. The mercenary asked the main character if he would be able to save himself when he was next to her daughter. Suddenly Benji extended her hand forward and said that the term would be 1 year. The mercenary sternly told the guy that she would try to kill him for a whole year. She added that if the guy survived, she would accept him. Lizzie pushed her friend aside. She yelled at the guy not to listen to her. The main character was very sad. Benji asked the guy, "Is he really so weak that he wants to run away?" The mercenary suggested to the protagonist that he could surrender right now. Yuri walked towards the girl. Benji suggested that the guy give up Lizzie right now. The girl was very scared. She looked at her friend with great excitement. Yuri approached slowly and very calmly extended his hand to the mercenary. The protagonist told Benji that he fully agreed to her terms. The girl smiled very much. She said that they would settle it with that. Benji held the protagonist's hand. She said that they would try to get along. The mercenary added that they would try to get along over the next year under the same roof. The main character was thinking about his beloved girl, who turned out to be the daughter of a family of murderers. Yuri lay on his bed and tried to fall asleep. He knew that her friend's father did not accept their relationship, so now he lives with them. The main character was lying on the bed. He couldn't understand how all this would turn out. Suddenly the blanket on the guy's body lifted. He was resting at the time. The girl looked under the blanket. She looked at the guy very angrily. The main character woke up. He felt to himself that there was someone under the sheet. Yuri was scared. He noticed that there was someone else on the bed next to him. Scared guy. At first I thought it was as if a pet had crawled under his blanket. The main character took a closer look. It seemed to him that Lizzie was under his blanket. Yuri began to toss and turn on the bed. He couldn't believe that all this was real. The main character heard a voice. The girl told him slyly that she knew what he was thinking about. Benji was lying under the blanket. She asked the guy slyly, "Isn't it too sexy?" The main character was very surprised to see the girl under the blanket. The mercenary said that the guy was not vigilant, although his life was being hunted. Benji swung the knife. She shouted at the guy that she would accept his miserable life. The main character dodged the mercenary in time. The knife hit next to his head. Benji was very surprised. She couldn't understand how the guy managed to dodge. The girl stood up on the bed. She decided that the guy just accidentally dodged. Yuri was lying on the floor. The girl ran up to the guy from behind. She asked angrily, where was he going to go? The mercenary swung her knife. She told the guy that they weren't finished with him yet. Benji asked the guy, "Is he really going to cry and ask for help now?" The mercenary said that her daughter was in the shower now and she wouldn't hear Yuri's screams. Yuri suddenly told the very surprised girl that he would not do it. The protagonist excitedly shouted that he would not burden his girlfriend to protect him. Yuri told the mercenary that he had to go through this test himself. The girl swung her knife to finish the guy off. Benji angrily shouted at the main character that she wanted to fulfill his wish. She almost finished the guy off with a knife. At this moment, Lizzie appeared and kicked the attacker with all her might. Benji fell out of the window of the house. The girlfriend told the main character that she went to take a shower, and when she returned, she noticed that someone was pointing a knife at him. The girlfriend asked the main character if everything was okay with him and if he was injured. The girl looked at her friend. She asked why he had such an expression on his face. Lizzie ran out of the shower very quickly. She didn't immediately realize that she wasn't dressed. The girl was very scared. Her body was barely covered with a towel. The girlfriend swung her hand and hit the guy with all her might. She angrily called him a pervert. Yuri flew into the wall at high speed. The girl screamed in fear that she didn't want to. The guy was lying on the floor and couldn't come to his senses. His girlfriend called him excitedly. At this time, Benji appeared in the window. She told the protagonist that he saw the negative side of Lizzie, which he did not know about. The main character gathered his strength. He decided that he had to say something now. Yuri said happily that if a girl can defend herself, then that could be a reason for joy. Yuri said that if a guy is afraid of his girlfriend, then he has no right to be with her. Lizzie was very surprised by such words from her friend. She blushed with excitement. Benji was very angry, and she didn't like what the guy said. The mercenary thought to herself with displeasure that the main character was a weakling. The mercenary said that she would see how long the main character could last. The night passed. The sun lit up everything around. The main character woke up and went to the bathroom. Yuri stood near the sink. He told himself that he still couldn't sleep after everything that happened. Suddenly a girl named Lizzie appeared. She said that she was very tired because of the previous night. The main character asked the girl, "Didn't she sleep all night?" Lizzie told her friend not to worry. The girl looked closely at her eyes in the mirror. She said that she could not get her rest regimen right. The main character looked at his girlfriend. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Lizzie looked at herself in the mirror. She thought that if she continued to sleep poorly, her skin would get worse. Benji ran in. She asked the girl why she was still in the bathroom at this time. Lizzie asked her interlocutor why she was wearing a school uniform. The mercenary asked Lizzie if there really was no uniform at her school. The mercenary, standing on the threshold, said that she had already taken care of the documents for school. Lizzie was very surprised by the words she heard from her interlocutor. It was a clear day outside. The girl Lizzie was in the classroom. She was smiling and wearing a school uniform. The teacher told the children that a student from Great Britain had arrived to study with them on an exchange course. Benji looked at the students angrily. The teacher told the children to get along with each other. The main character was very scared. He was shaking with fear. He realized that he was in great danger. The lesson started at school. A friend whispered to her boyfriend that everything should be fine. Lizzie told the protagonist not to worry too much. She added that she would protect him from Benji. The girl turned away with displeasure. She said that something was bothering her very much. Lizzie looked at the girl as she was surrounded by guys. They all admired her. The school children stood around Benji. They were surprised that the girl had learned Korean so well. The schoolgirl looked at her new friends and said that she could now enjoy talking with them. The guys were very surprised. They realized that the girl had touched them very deeply. Lizzie felt very sick. She ran to the wall. The girl told her friend with displeasure that she was going to vomit. Lizzie explained that the guys were really into the mercenary because she used a special perfume. The girl said that the perfume is made by the Springfield family. Because of its aroma, people lose their common sense. The main character looked to the side. He carefully examined Benji. The schoolgirl smiled at the main character. She looked at him with a calm gaze. Yuri felt very hurt. He didn't like the girl's look. Lizzie looked sternly at her boyfriend. She was very unhappy. Benji was sitting at the table. There were a lot of school children around her. They were admiring her. The main character looked closely. He noticed a bottle of perfume lying on a shelf under the desk. The main character was studying. He thought excitedly to himself that everything should be fine. During the lunch break, the students all headed to the cafeteria. Yuri brought his girlfriend some food. The girl shyly answered the guy that he didn't have to do it. The girlfriend explained to the schoolboy that she was just sitting at the table. Yuri told the girl that taking the empty seats at the table was also an important task. Yuri told his girlfriend that he now knows what feelings she has for him. The main character told his girlfriend that he was very happy to do nice things for her. Lizzie looked away and told her friend not to say anything stupid. Suddenly, the girl became very worried. She looked attentively at the main character. Lizzie was getting more and more worried. She saw a spoon in the guy's hands. Yuri held the spoon in front of him. He scooped up some food and prepared to have dinner. The main character's hand was shaking. His girlfriend looked at him with excitement. The girl realized that she needed to act. She jumped onto the table and extended her hand to the guy. Lizzie gestured to the main character that the food in the cafeteria could not be eaten. Yuri asked a girl why it was impossible to eat food in the cafeteria. The girl answered that the food had a strange taste. Lizzie thoughtfully told the guy that the food tasted like some kind of spice. The girl thought. She looked to the side at the other school children. The exhausted students were lying around in the schoolyard. They were all feeling bad. The school children complained that they felt unwell. Some were hot. The main character asked his girlfriend in fear what happened to the students. The girl told the main character that she immediately realized that there were problems with food. Yuri looked away very excitedly. He was looking at his girlfriend. Lizzie said that Benji mixed the pheromones with the food, and that's why it had that effect. The girl said excitedly that she had only eaten a spoonful of food. The main character was very excited. The main character extended his hand to the girl and asked if she was okay. Lizzie grabbed the guy by the hand. He was very surprised and scared. The girl was breathing heavily. He told his friend that she was currently under the influence of the drug. She explained that she would not be able to control herself if he touched her now. The girl got up from the bench. She told her friend that they needed to find the culprit of all this. The main character realized that only Benji could have poisoned the food. He was ready to help his girlfriend. The main character suggested the girl to go to the school building in Class B. Lizzie said that Benji's goal was the main character. The girlfriend explained to the guy that he had not had time to try the food. She warned Yuri to continue to defend himself anyway. Lizzie explained that after taking the drug, symptoms appear. Their peak begins several hours after consumption. The girlfriend explained that the students are in a bad situation now. The protagonist asked what will happen at the peak. Lizzie explained that when the symptoms reach their peak, people stop thinking rationally. Students will not be able to control their love desires. The girl said it was sad that their school would be shown on the evening news today. Lizzie told the guy that there was another reason why they needed the medicine. The girl explained that she too was affected by pheromones. She also has symptoms. Lizzie explained that they needed to stop Benji and take the medicine. The girl told the guy angrily that she could also lose her mind. Yuri became very worried. The main character remembered the words of his girlfriend, who said that they were running out of time. Yuri was running down the school corridor with his girlfriend. He knew that he needed to get to class quickly. The guy was straining himself as hard as he could. He understood that he didn't have much time. The main character looked at his girlfriend. He realized that he needed to hurry before everything got even worse. Yuri and his companion quickly ran into the classroom. The main character was very surprised. He noticed Benji sitting in the classroom. The mercenary looked with interest at the school children who had run in and said that they had finally arrived. The schoolgirl said cheerfully that she had already started to worry. Lizzie angrily shouted at her rival that she knew it was her doing. The girl was very angry. The main character asked his girlfriend with concern if everything was okay with her. Suddenly, Lizzie felt the drug begin to act on her body. Her friend was very scared. The mercenary jumped up from her seat. She asked her interlocutor with displeasure, "Is she really looking down on her?" Lizzie angrily shouted at Benji that it was she who was looking down on her. Lizzie explained that even if she was under the influence of the drug, it didn't matter to her. The mercenary calmly dodged the blow. She asked her rival in surprise, "Does it really not matter to her?" Benji looked angrily and told the girl that all this could be compared to yesterday's incident. The mercenary tried to kick her opponent with all her might. After the blow, the girl flew to the side with all her might. There was a loud crash. Lizzie remembered her friend. She wanted to inquire about his condition. The main character was lying next to the new girl. She asked him with concern if everything was okay. Yuri began to gradually come to his senses. He opened his eyes and looked at his girlfriend. The main character got very excited and scared. He realized that he was lying very close to his girlfriend. Yuri decided to explain everything to his girlfriend in a frightened voice. He was very worried. The guy was lying on the floor. He called his girlfriend very excitedly. The girl told her friend that she couldn't do it anymore. The main character was surprised. Lizzie apologized to her boyfriend in a very broken voice. The girl screamed in fear at the main character that she could no longer hold back. Benji ran up from behind. She kicked the girl in the back with all her might. Lizzie fell unconscious on the floor. The main character looked at his girlfriend with fear. The mercenary told the protagonist that she assumed that he would not consume food in the canteen. Benji pulled a knife out of her sleeve. She told the guy that now no one could stop them. Benji angrily shouted at the frightened protagonist that his end had come. The mercenary very angrily called the frightened protagonist by name. Yuri looked at the girl lying on the floor with great skill. Lizzie lay completely unconscious and showed no signs of life. The main character remembered his girlfriend. Her image flashed through his memory. Yuri clenched his teeth in excitement. He realized that he would have to fight off the mercenary. The main character shouted very angrily to the mercenary that he would not run away anymore. Benji swung the knife. The protagonist shouted that this was all too much. Suddenly, the girl slipped on the main character's body. She couldn't stand. Benji was falling down. She didn't have time to hit the main character with a knife. Yuri got up from the floor. He was very impressed that he was able to defeat the girl so easily. In the classroom, in the school building, there was a very loud roar. The mercenary fell to the floor with a bang, causing the tables to fly apart. Benji, lying on the floor, said to herself with displeasure that she had screwed up. The main character was lying on an overturned desk. The girl was sitting next to him and looking at him. Benji thought to herself with displeasure that she had made a stupid mistake. Suddenly the boy stood up. He rolled out from under the desk. There was a broken bottle lying next to him. Yuri stood up from his seat. He rubbed his bruised head. The mercenary looked at the main character with great excitement. The girl noticed that the drug from the bottle began to affect the guy. Yuri was under the influence of the drug. He looked lovingly at the girl and called her. Benji was very scared. She realized that now the guy would look at her with love. Benji looked at the guy very scared. She didn't understand what was going on. The main character looked at his rival with excitement. Benji couldn't believe that all this was happening for real. Benji was very worried. She couldn't even understand what was happening to the guy now. The mercenary looked at the guy. For some reason, he seemed very nice to her. Benji said to herself very angrily that she was talking nonsense. The mercenary realized that the guy had changed so much because he had spilled the drug on his head. The girl grabbed the knife. She knew that the effect of the drug was temporary. The mercenary looked at the guy. She realized that he wouldn't be able to escape now. Benji came close to the guy. She shouted that he was finished. The girl held a knife in her hands. She shouted to the protagonist that they had only known each other for a few days. The mercenary swung her weapon and shouted at the guy that she wished him all the best. Suddenly the girl felt that she could no longer move her hand with the weapon. Benji looked at the guy. She shouted in a breaking voice that she wished him all the best. Yuri looked at the girl with great excitement. He called her tenderly. The girl ran away to the side. She screamed that all this was not real. The main character was surprised. He could not understand what happened to the mercenary. Yuri looked to the side. He noticed a broken bottle lying on the floor. The main character thought about it. He began to understand what was happening now. Yuri looked at the inadequate girl. He remembered his girlfriend's recent words. The main character said confidently to himself that now was not the time for him to doubt. The girl was sitting on the floor near a pile of chairs. She looked at the guy with displeasure. Yuri approached the girl with a smile and shouted that he wanted to hug her. There was a broken bottle on the floor. The drug continued to affect the girl. Benji shouted that there are boundaries that cannot be crossed. The main character grabbed the mercenary in his arms in surprise. She didn't resist at all. Benji began to angrily wave her arms in all directions. She shouted at the main character that she wanted to kill him. The main character thought. He couldn't decide what to do in this situation. Yuri addressed his interlocutor in a calm voice. The girl had tears in her eyes. The main character asked the mercenary to give him an antidote. The girl thought about it. She felt that she didn't have the strength to impress the guy right now. Benji was very surprised. She looked away with great displeasure. The girl thought about it. She realized that she would have to fulfill the guy's request. Benji told the main character that he had won and now he could do whatever he wanted. The mercenary told the surprised protagonist that there was one condition. The girl told the guy that she didn't want to get the antidote herself. Benji grabbed the guy's hand with her hand. The main character became very worried. The girl said that the guy would have to take the antidote with his own hand. Yuri was very scared. He realized that now he would have to do everything himself. Benji was still in the protagonist's arms. She told him sternly that he would have to take it himself. Yuri asked his interlocutor in fear where she wanted to put his hand. The main character asked the girl very excitedly, "Did she really put the medicine there?" Yuri looked at the girl and realized with fear that he would not be able to do this. At this time, the main character heard a noise from the side. He turned around in fear. The boy saw the bodies of school children lying all over the classroom. Yuri looked at the lying guys and realized that he had no other choice. The main character thought excitedly to himself that he didn't want all this. Yuri decided to himself that he had to do this for everyone else. The main character asked the girl not to make such strange sounds. At this time, Lizzie came to her senses. She looked around and asked herself, "Did she really faint?" The girl was very surprised. She looked carefully at the main character and Benji. Lizzie got angry. She noticed how the main character tried to put his hand inside the mercenary. Lizzie ran up and viciously beat up the protagonist and Benji. She asked viciously, "What are they doing here?" As a result, all the students in the school received a dose of the drug against the pheromone effect. The students' memories were erased as they headed home after school. Benji did not take the pheromones directly. Everything that happened will be remembered for a long time. At this time, someone approached the girl and asked if everything was going as she wanted. Benji turned around in surprise. She didn't know who approached her. The mercenary noticed a stranger standing next to her. She didn't understand who she was. Benji was lying on her bed. She was unhappy. She remembered that the main character made her behave so outrageously. The mercenary was unhappy because she suffered because of her own spirits. Someone came from the side and told the boss that he was very worried. A girl came up to the side and told the boss that she had a very important message. The guest said that something important had happened at their academy and that help was needed. Benji told her interlocutor that she was very busy right now. The guest reported that there was a direct order from the lady. Benji asked again in surprise, "Did Elizabeth really say this?" The mercenary got angry. She tossed around on the bed and shouted that she couldn't even stop her daughter from falling in love with a guy. The guest told the boss that she could help him. Benji told her interlocutor that she herself could not do it and asked how she could. The guest handed the girl a notebook. She said that Lizzie had hidden it before. Benji began to leaf through and study the notebook carefully. She said that there were interesting things written there. The mercenary was very happy. She was very interested in the notes. Benji noticed information about the main character in the notebook. She said that it was all very interesting. The residents of the house were very surprised when Benji told them that she would be gone for the whole weekend. Benji told her surprised interlocutors that they had heard right. She added that some work had come up. The main character asked the mercenary, "What is her job?" Benji asked her interlocutor with displeasure, "Has he really forgotten what they do for a living?" Lizzie asked her interlocutor sternly if she was lying now. Benji answered with a smile that she never lied about anything related to work. Lizzie happily shouted that they would spend the weekend without the nasty mercenary. Yuri said happily to himself that his girlfriend was reacting more energetically than he had expected. Benji said that she would be gone for 3 days. Benji told her interlocutors not to do anything stupid while she was gone. Lizzie said her boyfriend wasn't the kind of person to worry about. Benji thought about it. She looked at the girl in front of her with great surprise. The mercenary told her interlocutors that even if they wanted to, they would not succeed. Benji turned around and told her friends at the door that she was leaving. The door slammed shut. The main character thought about it. He was very much touched and interested by the girl's words. Benji turned to his girlfriend with excitement. She jumped away somewhere. Suddenly, Lizzie pounced and hugged her friend from the side. Yuri asked his girlfriend with excitement what had come over her. The girl told the guy that she could hug him without worrying that her father was somewhere nearby. The girl pressed herself closely to her friend. The guy felt excited. Yuri went his separate ways with his girlfriend. They were very embarrassed. The guy thought to himself that Lizzie hadn't been able to relax since her father arrived here. The main character thought to himself excitedly that his girlfriend had been trying to protect him all the time. The guy remembered that Lizzie didn't even have time to relax. Yuri turned around. He looked at his girlfriend silently and with great attention. The main character decided to himself that he would do everything possible for the girl. Yuri approached his girlfriend very slyly. He decided to have some fun with her. The main character reminded the girl that they had the whole weekend. At that moment, a bullet flew into the room. Yuri and the girl were very scared. They looked at each other in surprise. The protagonist turned around. He again noticed the bullet hole smoking in the floor. The guy and the girl turned around and noticed a hole in the window from a bullet that had flown in. The girl got very angry. She realized that it was Benji who shot. Lizzie looked angrily at the bullet hole in the floor. She shouted that the mercenary had lied to them about the job. The girl shouted that she would come out now and deal with Benji. The guy told his girlfriend that she needed to calm down first. Lizzie slammed the front door. She told the guy to stay in the house. The main character became worried. He realized that he would have to stay alone now. Yuri looked with great attention at the bullet hole in the floor. Smoke was coming from there. Lizzie realized very clearly that they were being shot at from the top of the bell tower. The girl climbed very slowly to the top of the tower. She was looking for the shooter there. Lizzie stood and looked around very carefully. She listened. The girl realized that the mercenary had to hide behind the large bell. Lizzie came up and sternly shouted at the criminal to come out quickly. The stranger with purple hair just smiled to herself. The girl calmly replied that Lizzie was the daughter of the leader of the Springfield family. The stranger told her interlocutor very precisely how much time had passed since their last meeting. The mercenary stood and looked at the girl attentively. She called her a rival. The stranger opened her umbrella. She looked attentively at her rival. The mercenary with an umbrella in her hand said that her rival was Lizzie Springfield. Lizzie looked at her rival with great excitement, holding an umbrella in her hands. The girl fearfully named the name of her old friend, the mercenary Vicky. The mercenary said to Lizzie with a smile that she had become much prettier since their last meeting. Lizzie told her rival that she had lost weight for some reason. Vicky was very angry with such words. Lizzie told her interlocutor angrily that she still attended a regular school. The mercenary pulled the shutter of her umbrella and pointed it at her rival. She asked the evil girl what she had been taught in a regular school. Lizzie jumped to the side in time and dodged the shot. The rival shouted at the girl that she thought she went to a special school. Vicky continued to shoot. She asked the girl to show her what she was capable of. Lizzie hid behind the wall. She went outside without a weapon, because she thought that they were attacked by her father. In the end, it turned out that it was a mercenary. The girl carefully peeked out from around the corner. The mercenary shouted at her interlocutor that she had wasted the boss's time. Vicky said very angrily that she met the heir of the Springfield family in such a place. The mercenary promised the girl that she was not as kind as their boss. She added that she would kill the girl after she dealt with her boyfriend. Vicky immediately opened fire on her opponent with her weapon. The mercenary was very surprised. She noticed that the girl was not afraid of her and came out of her hiding place. Lizzie looked sternly at her rival and said that she would not allow this. The girl warned the mercenary. She said that if she touched her boyfriend, she would not hold back. Vicky was very angrily surprised. She asked her interlocutor again, who was she going to restrain? The mercenary continued to shoot. She shouted at her rival that she had degraded lately. Lizzie continued to deflect the bullets. Vicky watched with great excitement as the girl pulled out her battle card. Lizzie picked up speed. She decided to hit her opponent at full speed. Vicky continued to fire her weapon at her opponent who was running towards her. Lizzie blocked all those bullets and hit the mercenary with all her might. She wanted to grab her umbrella. Lizzie grabbed the umbrella with a professional movement to protect herself from the gunfire. The girl knocked the mercenary to the floor. She was holding her umbrella in her hands. Lizzie held her card up to her very frightened rival's head. The girl angrily asked her rival what she was talking about degradation. Lizzie shouted at the mercenary that she could harm her any way she wanted. The girl told the mercenary that she wanted to send her home safe and sound. She advised Vicky to go home. The mercenary grinned with displeasure. She said to her interlocutor with displeasure that she always behaved like that with other people. Vicky accused her interlocutor of always pretending to be the most friendly person. The mercenary took a knife from the handle of the umbrella. She prepared to hit her opponent. Vicky shouted angrily that people like Lizzie were always called defective. The battle between the mercenary and Lizzie ended. Only the cries of birds could be heard at the top of the bell tower. Yuri was sitting at home. He couldn't figure out where his girlfriend Lizzie had gone. The main character sat and looked at the hole in the floor. He remembered that his girlfriend's father always deceives everyone. Yuri thought to himself that his girlfriend's father would not lie so brazenly. The main character thought that perhaps Lizzie's father was thus carrying out his insidious plan. The doorbell rang. The main character decided that it was his girlfriend. He opened the door and asked, "What happened?" The guy saw an unfamiliar girl. She greeted him with a smile. There were guards standing in the distance. The main character was surprised. He could not understand who was standing in front of him. Vicky smiled and told the protagonist that he should go with them. The chief was surprised. He could not understand what kind of people came to him. Yuri, accompanied by his new acquaintances, was driving at full speed in a car. Vicky apologized to the guy for arriving at his place unannounced. She explained that it was all very urgent. The main character looked at his companions with great surprise and fear. The men in the front seats turned around and looked sternly at the guy. The girl told the frightened Yuri that she did not want to harm him. The main character told his interlocutor that he needed to go back because his girlfriend was waiting for him. Vicky told the surprised protagonist that Lizzie was already waiting for him. The guy asked his interlocutor, "Does she really know Lizzie?" The girl replied that she would introduce herself now. The girl extended her hand to the guy and said that she was Lizzie's former roommate. She was also a student at the Springfield Assassination Academy. The interlocutor told the protagonist that her name was Victoria. She added that she wanted to discuss Lizzie's secrets with him. Benji was flying in a private jet over the Gulf of Mexico. She asked her subordinates to show her the data. The interlocutor asked the mercenary, "Why does she need the data about her daughter?" Benji looked at the documents. She said that she wanted to confirm something. The mercenary was handed all the documents she needed. She thanked him. Benji carefully studied the documents. They interested her very much. The mercenary realized that Lizzie was completely sure that she was thinking through her escape plan. Suddenly, Benji noticed something interesting in the documents. She became interested. The mercenary noticed the chemical formula. She didn't know that Lizzie had something dangerous with her. Benji continued to sit and study the documents with great attention. The girl said to herself that she was very interested in what had been happening all this time. Benji told herself that her daughter had prepared very carefully. The main character was sitting at a large table in some mansion. Servants were serving food. Victoria got ready to eat. She asked the guy why he was so nervous. The interlocutor smiled at the guy and said that there was no reason to be nervous. The main character was afraid to touch food. The girl called him by his name, Nam Yuri. The interlocutor asked the guy if it was the first time he was at such a table. Yuri said that he was a simple man and had never been in such places. Victoria slyly told the guy that Lizzie could take him to such a place if she wanted. Yuri grabbed the cutlery with his hands. Vicky said that Lizzie didn't want to leave any traces. The interlocutor asked the main character how far they had gone together with Lizzie. Yuri jumped up and shouted in fear that he and the girl were minors. Victoria asked the guy if he was really dating his girlfriend. The main character replied that his relationship with the girl could not be considered a standard. The interlocutor asked the guy if he really always thinks about such things. She asked if Lizzie was really that conservative. The interlocutor smiled slyly at the main character and said that she could also do something for him. The guy answered fearfully that he did not want it. The main character asked where Lizzie was. Vicky answered her interlocutor with displeasure that he would soon see the girl. The interlocutor looked at the guy and said that she wanted to tell him something important to start with. Vicky took out her notebook. She wanted to tell Yuri why he was brought here. The interlocutor explained to the guy that she was currently holding Lizzie's notebook in her hands. Victoria explained that Lizzie wrote a plan in a notebook when she escaped from the academy. The girl also wrote her plans for the future there. The interlocutor looked sternly at the guy through her glasses. She reported that Lizzie had written in her notebook why she had approached certain people. The servant brought a notebook on a tray to the main character. The guy was surprised. Yuri looked at the notebook with great distrust. He didn't know if he could take it now. The guy asked his interlocutor, why was she giving him the document? Vicky answered the guy that there was important information in the notebook that he should know. Yuri reached out his hand to the document. He didn't exactly realize what he was supposed to know. The servant abruptly pulled the notebook towards himself. The interlocutor told the guy that she wanted to clarify something with him. Victoria told the surprised guy that she wanted to ask him something important. The girl asked the guy if he really thought Lizzie loved him. The main character answered without any hesitation that he was sure that his girlfriend loved him. Victoria was surprised. Yuri told the girl that he had no doubt about Lizzie's feelings for him. Vicky smiled contentedly. She was very pleased with the protagonist's answer. The interlocutor happily suggested to the guy that he take a look at everything himself. Yuri became agitated. He did not pay attention to the huge figure of the bear next to him. There was someone inside the bear statue, watching the main character closely. There was a tied-up girl inside the bear statue. Vicky suggested that the guy read the diary to see what Lizzie thought of him. The interlocutor explained to the guy that any things are much more authentic if they come from a notebook than from the person himself. The main character read the document carefully. Vicky told the guy to pay attention to page 41. Yuri was completely immersed in reading. The interlocutor asked the guy what was written in the notebook. The girl wrote in her diary that a partner should be unremarkable so as not to attract unnecessary attention. Lizzie wrote in her notebook that her partner must be very cowardly and timid, so as not to look for another woman. The girl wrote that she should use her partner as a tool. The girl sat imprisoned in the bear statue. She realized that the main character was now reading her notebook. Vicky reminded the guy angrily that he had previously confessed that he loved Lizzie. The interlocutor looked slyly at the guy and asked, "Does he really believe in this?" Yuri sat very upset. Vicky told him that Lizzie might not have feelings for him. The girl Lizzie was very scared and worried. Vicky told the main character at that time that Lizzie didn't love him. Victoria told the evil guy that his girlfriend Lizzie was simply using him. Yuri watched as a candle burned on the table in front of him. The interlocutor told the guy that Lizzie used him only so that she could have a normal life. The interlocutor told the guy that if he doesn't believe her, then he can find out everything personally from Lizzie. The main character asked the girl if he could ask her a question. Vicky asked the guy, "What does he want to know?" Yuri asked his interlocutor, "Was it really Lizzie who wrote the data in the notebook?" Vicky replied that everything was written by the girl's own hands. The main character held a diary in his hands. He looked at it with excitement. Victoria was very surprised. Lizzie watched the actions of the main character with great excitement. Yuri grabbed the diary and confidently raised it to the candle. The paper caught fire. Victoria looked at the guy with great surprise. The main character apologized for his harshness. Yuri told his interlocutor sternly that he would not allow such a notebook to exist. The protagonist apologetically threw the remains of the hot paper on the floor. Victoria angrily asked the guy, "What did he do?" She reminded him of the entries in the diary. The protagonist jumped to his feet and shouted, "That none of this matters!" Yuri explained to his interlocutor that most people find it difficult to love someone when they first meet. The main character said that love can always start with interest or need. The guy explained that the essence of love is how a guy and a girl treat each other. Yuri told what really bothered him, why Lizzie chose him. At this time, his girlfriend silently heard everything. The protagonist explained that the contents of the notebook only related to when their relationship began. Yuri told his interlocutor that the diary entries were not related to their current relationship. Lizzie was shocked by her friend's words. Tears appeared in her eyes. Victoria got really angry. She grabbed the tablecloths with her hand and shouted at the guy to stop. Vicky shouted menacingly at the guy that Lizzie had fooled him. Yuri replied discontentedly that none of this mattered. Yuri explained to his interlocutor that he believed that Lizzie's feelings were as they were described in the notebook. The main character explained that he did not pay enough attention to the girl, and all the blame lies with him. Victoria was very angry. She realized that the notebook had no effect on the guy. Vicky asked the main character if it really didn't matter to him what his girlfriend thought of him. The angry interlocutor did not understand how the guy could like this. The mercenary asked the guy, "Shouldn't he run away in a situation like this?" Victoria told the guy that there can be no exception for people like him. The girl took out her cold weapon. She shouted that she would not accept such a thing. Lizzie became very worried and scared. She realized that her friend was in danger. Victoria extended her blade towards the main character and prepared to strike him. The angry mercenary ran at the guy. She shouted that she would test him right now. Lizzie concentrated completely. She decided to use all her strength to break free. The girl tried to move her tied hands from behind in order to escape. Lizzie was able to free her hands. She broke the bars that were binding her. The girl smashed the bear statue she was in and jumped out of it. The main character was very surprised and amazed. He did not expect his girlfriend to appear. Yuri looked at the girl next to him. He didn't expect her to appear. Lizzie threw Victoria back with a very powerful and strong blow. The main character looked away with great excitement. He didn't know what to say. The girlfriend turns to her boyfriend with words. Yuri turned to her in surprise. Lizzie was squatting. She asked the guy if all his words were really true. The guards were helping Victoria, who was lying on the ground. Lizzie asked the protagonist if he had said his words without thinking that she could eavesdrop. The girlfriend asked the guy if he would mind if she treated him well from now on. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with great excitement. He smiled at her cheerfully. The main character told his surprised girlfriend that everything he said was true. The main character came up to hug the girl. He told her cheerfully that he was even a little happy. Yuri snuggled up to his girlfriend. He told her that if they had any difficulties, they could deal with them together. Lizzie hugged her friend very happily. She felt happy. The girl was sitting on the floor and holding her boyfriend in her arms. Her bag was lying on the ground nearby. The main character asked his girlfriend where she had been all this time. The girl replied that she had been a little late. Yuri asked his girlfriend what was on her hand. Lizzie told her friend not to touch her. Someone was watching everything that was happening in the room carefully through a camera. Benji was very unhappy. She said that everything that happened was a failure. The girl Lizzie was at home. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, she woke up. Lizzie was very scared. She looked around the bedroom carefully. The girl recalled the events of the previous day. At night, she had a nightmare. Lizzie sat on the bed and repeated to herself that it was all just a dream. The girl was very excited. She was even afraid to go back to bed. Lizzie told herself that she couldn't let this go on any longer. At that time, Benji arrived at the airport. The mercenary waved to the plane's attendants and said that they would see each other again. The girl looked closely at her phone. She told herself that she wanted to deal with someone else. Suddenly, the mercenary noticed a stranger in a black uniform approaching her from behind. The stranger was holding a powerful cord in her hands. Benji was frightened and decided that she was seeing Lizzie in front of her. The stranger looked closely at her victim. She prepared to attack her. The main character suddenly woke up. He jumped up in bed and saw that the night had already passed. Yuri was surprised. He couldn't understand what kind of weekend he had. The protagonist remembered how the guards carried Victoria away. He thought that she was not seriously injured. Yuri remembered that Lizzie's father said that he would return this morning. He opened the door and smelled a good smell. The main character went into the kitchen and was very surprised. He noticed his girlfriend there. Lizzie was standing in the kitchen almost naked. She was cooking and greeted the guy. The main character looked at his girlfriend with great fascination. He greeted her. Lizzie asked the guy sternly and slyly, what was he staring at? The main character turned around sharply and very frightened. Yuri asked the girl why she wasn't dressed and what she was cooking on the stove. Lizzie answered the guy that she sometimes wanted to change the usual state of things. Yuri reminded the girl with surprise that her father was supposed to return this morning. Lizzie sat the main character down at the table and invited him to start having breakfast. Yuri thought to himself with displeasure that he didn't even understand what was happening right now. The main character looked at the food on the table. He didn't like it right away. The boy saw fish and rice in front of him. He realized that such food was not eaten in Britain. The girl looked at her friend with excitement. The main character realized that Lizzie wanted him to try her food. The main character very confidently grabbed the food with his spoon and sent it into his mouth. The girlfriend became very worried. The main character fell unconscious on the floor. Lizzie didn't understand what happened to the guy. She said that she washed the rice with the product. Yuri felt very unwell. It was as if he was going to throw up. Yuri asked his girlfriend why she wanted to start cooking. Lizzie told the guy that she wanted to make a lot of different things for him. The main character suggested to his interlocutor that he could do the laundry. Lizzie told the guy that everything was fine. She added that she would take care of everything herself. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with worry. He thought that he was nervous about all of this. The guy watched the girl cleaning the house. He realized that he couldn't stop her. While cleaning, Yuri noticed various weapons hanging on one of the walls. Lizzie dumped the dishes in the sink to wash them. The protagonist shouted that they didn't need to use acid for this. The girl decided to get rid of a pile of garbage with a flamethrower. The main character shouted to his interlocutor that she simply couldn't burn it all. Yuri felt very exhausted. He fell to the floor exhausted. The main character sat next to a fire extinguisher and looked at a pile of garbage. He didn't understand how this happened. The guy told his girlfriend to take a rest. He added that he would clean everything himself. The guy started vacuuming. He told the girl that there was a lot of stuff in this house. Lizzie sat on the floor and looked at her friend. She didn't say anything. The girl looked at the main character. She realized that the guy decided to clean everything in the house himself. Evening came and the cleaning was over. The main character said to himself that he almost fainted. Yuri went into the shower room. He said that the house was full of strange mechanisms and that's why it was difficult to clean. The guy noticed with fear how several pistols fell from above. He said to himself that this really was a house of murderers. Yuri was sitting in the bathroom. He thought that his girlfriend was acting very strange today. The protagonist thought to himself that Lizzie could in reality be her father in disguise. At that moment the door opened and a girl came in. She asked the guy if he called her. Yuri looked at the girl who came in with great surprise. He didn't expect to see her. The main character was amazed. He felt that he became very excited and embarrassed. Lizzie looked at the guy with a loving look and asked if he minded her coming in. The girl suggested to her friend that she join him in the bathroom. Yuri felt very shy when he was sitting in the bathroom. He called his girlfriend. The girl slowly walked across the bathroom floor to her friend. She called him by name. Lizzie told the protagonist that he should know what she was going to tell him now. The main character was very scared. He looked at his girlfriend. The girl said in a playful voice that it was high time. The girlfriend wanted to get into the bath. She said that it was high time to do it. Yuri did not understand what his interlocutor was talking about. The main character became very worried. It was difficult for him to understand what was happening. Yuri became very excited. He remembered that the girl Lizzie had never behaved like this before. The girlfriend got ready to climb into the guy's bathroom. Yuri decided to himself that the girl was not doing all this of her own free will. The girl's face was very close. Yuri told his friend that they needed to wait. The protagonist explained to his interlocutor that they shouldn't do this right now. Lizzie angrily shouted at the guy that he should have accepted this situation. Yuri asked the worried girl what she was doing. The main character said to his girlfriend with displeasure that they couldn't do this. He added that she needed to calm down. Yuri looked at his interlocutor very excitedly and explained that he couldn't do that. Lizzie angrily told the frightened boy that they had to create a new generation. She added that their father would no longer interfere with them. The girl slipped. She could no longer stand on her feet and began to fall. The main character noticed with amazement how his girlfriend began to fall. Yuri became worried. He realized that he couldn't help his girlfriend and detain her. The naked girl fell. She hit her head very hard. Consciousness began to completely leave the girl. Her eyes began to close. At the last moment, the girlfriend noticed how the main character was looking at her with fear. Lizzie opened her eyes in fright. She felt that she was very shocked. The girl jumped up on the bed. She began to remember what had happened to her. Suddenly the girl heard a noise from the side. It was the main character coming to see her. Yuri asked the girl, "Is she already awake?" He said with a smile that killers come to their senses faster than ordinary people. The girl was very excited. She looked at her friend silently and with incomprehension. The main character calmed the girl down. He explained that he had not done anything to her body. Yuri sat on the bed next to his girlfriend. They were both silent. The main character asked the girl why she had been acting so strange all day. Lizzie was silent. She turned her head to the side and did not answer the main character. Yuri smiled to himself. He decided to wait until the girl told him everything herself. Lizzie felt very sad. She tiredly laid her head on her hands. The girl told the protagonist that she just wanted to impress him. Lizzie explained to the guy that after her father left, he was drawn into trouble because of her. The girlfriend explained to the surprised guy that she just wanted to try to make amends. Lizzie said very sadly to her interlocutor that she only knows how to kill people. The girl answered the guy in a sad voice that she was very sorry that she was like that. She added that she only knew how to kill. Yuri told the surprised girl that at first he thought that something bad had happened again. The guy explained to his interlocutor that he had similar thoughts at first. He was worried that his girlfriend might stop liking him. Yuri explained to his interlocutor that he had thought about this a lot since she had confessed to him. Lizzie listened carefully to her friend's words. She didn't know at first what to tell him. The girlfriend was mean. The main character asked the girl if this had ever occurred to her. Yuri explained to Lizzie that it was perfectly normal to understand what someone else was thinking. The washing machine signaled that the wash was finished. The guy explained to his interlocutor that all this could simply be a lack of trust in his partner. Yuri told the girl that he had something he wanted to offer her. The washing machine stopped. The guy told the girl that there was something that made him happy. Yuri put his hand on his girlfriend's hand. He said that they shouldn't stay like this forever. The main character told his interlocutor that he didn't want them to burden each other with their thoughts. Lizzie smiled at the guy and said that she agreed with his words. At this moment there was a very loud knock on the wall, as if someone wanted to break in. Benji kicked the wall. She asked the main character angrily, "What is he talking about?" Yuri and her friend were very scared. They did not expect the guest to appear. Benji started to make the scene in the house. She shouted at her daughter that she would finish with her today. In the end, the mercenary scolded Lizzie very strictly. The girl, sitting on the floor, listened attentively to everything. Lizzie was talking to someone on the phone. She told the person she was leaving the rest up to him. Benji was sleeping at that time. Lizzie said on the phone that she didn't want her father to disturb her tomorrow. The girl hung up the phone. She was thinking about something of her own. Lizzie looked at the phone in front of her with great attention. She was determined. The girl decided that she needed to make sure that she and her friend had a real date tomorrow. The main character was relaxing peacefully. He had no idea about his girlfriend's plans. The next morning, Benji woke up. She decided to go to the kitchen. The mercenary had a hard time opening her eyes. She said to herself with displeasure that her body had not yet gotten used to the local time. The girl came out and was surprised to see that there was no one around. She was surprised. Benji looked closely and noticed the main character standing around the corner. She didn't understand what the guy was doing in the kitchen. The mercenary with a knife rushed at the protagonist. She shouted that this was the perfect moment. Benji turned around and noticed how the main character had transformed into a powerful robot. The girl was very scared. She didn't expect to see such a guy in front of her. The guy hit his opponent with all his might using a special hand. The powerful blow sent the girl flying to the side. The robot looked at her silently. The mercenary was lying on the floor. There was huge destruction in the bathroom and a huge hole in the wall was shining. Benji jumped up and asked the guy very angrily, "What is he doing now?" The guy threw his metal hand at his opponent again with all his might. She barely managed to jump aside. Benji looked at the guy with fear. He continued to try to finish her off with his metal hand. The mercenary was surprised and amazed. She could not understand what the guy had turned into. The mercenary noticed how the guy was looking at her angrily. He was getting ready to attack her again. The evil cyborg looked at his victim with burning eyes. He looked very threatening. Benji was very shocked and surprised. She couldn't understand what had happened to the guy. The mercenary said to herself that she didn't understand why her opponent looked so strange. The robot started running towards the girl. Benji reassured herself by saying that human body modification was a common thing. The mercenary told herself confidently that the main character turned out to be not such a weakling after all. Benji prepared to attack. She said discontentedly that she did not know what happened to the guy during the time they had not seen each other. The mercenary angrily shouted at her opponent that he would not be able to defeat her, even if he changed his body. Benji angrily shouted at the guy that she would show him what she was capable of. The mercenary lunged upward to strike her opponent with a kick. Yuri was walking and having fun around the city with his girlfriend on a clear sunny day. A guy and a girl were riding cars. The girlfriend shouted joyfully to the guy that she had crashed into him. Yuri shouted joyfully to his interlocutor that she was very energetic. The girl answered joyfully to the guy that he would play with her all day long. The main character was very happy. He liked that his girlfriend looked happy. The guy looked at this girl. He didn't understand. Could this be normal without her father's invitation? Lizzie happily told the guy that everything would be great. Yuri agreed with the girl. The girlfriend grabbed the guy by the hand and told them to go somewhere else. Yuri and his friend were happily running around the amusement park. The main character and his girlfriend decided to go for a ride and have some fun on the rides. While Yuri was having fun with his girlfriend, Benji tried to fight off the robot that attacked her. Lizzie was feeding her friend ice cream. At the same time, the mercenary tried to use a gun against the cyborg. Later in the evening, the protagonist returned home with his girlfriend. They were very surprised. Yuri and Lizzie stood together and looked at the destroyed house in amazement. The guy and the girl couldn't figure out what had happened. There were only ruins around. Suddenly, there was a very powerful blow. Benji flew straight to the entrance. Lizzie looked at the girl with great excitement. She was lying unconscious. Yuri couldn't understand what was going on. Lizzie heard a noise from the side and turned around carefully. The girl could not understand who could have caused such destruction. Yuri looked to the side in fear. He noticed the dangerous cyborg standing there. The main character saw a sinister cyborg in front of him. He couldn't understand what kind of hellish thing it was. The main character was very shocked. He stood next to his girlfriend. Yuri could not understand what kind of demonic robot was standing in front of him now. At this time, Benji began to gradually come to her senses. She grabbed her head with a scream. Benji looked to the side in surprise and shouted that she saw two identical guys. Yuri was very surprised by such words. The main character was very shocked. He saw very clearly that the robot looked exactly like him. The mercenary looked at the cyborg and asked the main character who could have created such a terrible thing. Yuri and the mercenary turned around sharply and looked suspiciously at Lizzie. Lizzie was very embarrassed. The main character and the mercenary realized that the girl was to blame for everything. Lizzie apologetically told her friends that she didn't think things would turn out this way. Benji said sensibly that the battle monster was created by Professor Nitro. The mercenary told the girl that she really turned to this crazy woman. Yuri asked who Professor Nitro was. The mercenary said that Nitro was the inventor in their plan. She makes special equipment. At this time, the robot came up and decided to try to attack the people. They were very scared. Benji screamed in fear that civilians and their clan's reputation could be harmed. Lizzie carried the main character away in her arms. Lizzie and Benji decided to fight against the worker who attacked them. The mercenaries shouted cheerfully that they would be able to give the attacking cyborg some grief. The robot threw the girls away with a powerful blow of his hand. Yuri realized that the girlfriends could do absolutely nothing. The main character stood and watched in surprise as the mercenaries flew towards him. Suddenly, the robot became interested in something. He looked to the side with excitement. Benji was lying unconscious on the ground with her friends sitting next to her. Lizzie looked away with concern. She realized that the robot was watching her. The cyborg looked at the girl carefully. He stopped attacking people. Suddenly, the metal guy came to life. Sparks of love lit up behind his eyes. The girl got scared. She realized that the robot had a huge crush on her and wanted to pursue her. Benji looked at the metal guy in surprise. She asked, "What's wrong with him?" Lizzie said that when she asked to make a model of the robot, she gave Nitro a strand of the main character's hair and asked to make a clone of him. The girl asked her friends in surprise why they had such a face. Benji angrily rushed at the surprised robot and demanded that he let go of his daughter. The cyborg attacked the mercenary with a powerful beam from his head, throwing her far away. The main character looked at Benji lying on the floor with concern. He realized that she would not be able to move. Yuri calmed himself down. He realized that he was the only one who could stop the robot. The protagonist watched with excitement as the robot pestered the girl. He remembered that Lizzie said that the cyborg had the same inclinations as him. Yuri thought that the cyborg might have the same weaknesses as him. A thought came into the main character's head. He became very worried. Yuri realized that it was time to act. He decided that he had found a way to defeat the cyborg. The main character ran with all his might to the side at full speed into the building. The cyborg and the people next to him looked at the guy in the house in surprise. Yuri picked up speed and jumped out of the building window at full speed. The main character, a general, is holding some kind of box in his girlfriend's clothes. Yuri carried with him in a box various underwear of his girlfriend. The robot and the girls looked in surprise at what the main character was doing. Robot distracted. He turned his head towards the main character. The cyborg became interested and immediately rushed to the guy. The cyborg snatched the girl's underwear from the guy's hands and put it on his head. The main character shouted to the surprised girls to quickly deal with the robot. Yuri shouted at the girls with all his might to not waste time and do it now. Benji and her daughter sped up and prepared to attack the robot. The mercenary and her friend hit the cyborg with all their might and he flew off to the side along with the main character. Yuri felt like he was falling from a great height. The remains of the girl's underwear were flying next to him. The main character closed his eyes in fear. He thought that he would no longer be able to survive. At the last moment, the guy saw his girlfriend's underwear flying and decided to himself that it was all over for him. In the end, the guy and his girlfriends were able to somehow destroy the robot. After everything that happened, the girl Lizzie was very severely reprimanded for the incident. Lizzie promised that she would not approach Professor Nitro with such requests again. Yuri looked at the girl. He decided that her look for him had changed since that day. The main character thought to himself that if he looked back, everything wasn't so great for him. The school building was empty at night. The corridors were dark and deserted. The woman opened her school locker. She was rummaging through something and looking for something. Suddenly the worker heard some suspicious noise behind her. She turned her head. The woman was scared. She dropped her clothes out of great surprise. The worker got scared. She screamed very loudly. Her scream echoed throughout the school building. The next day the students discussed what had happened. Someone said that a ghost had appeared yesterday. The school children were talking among themselves about ghosts. The main character stood with the girl and listened attentively. The girl asked her friend if he was interested. Yuri smiled at his girlfriend and replied that he was not interested. The main character said that a lot had happened in his life, so the thought of ghosts didn't scare him. The main character told his girlfriend that no one believes in ghosts these days. Lizzie and the main character looked in surprise at the frightened girl on the desk. The mercenary was very scared. Her whole body was shaking very violently from fear. Benji was very scared. She stared blankly ahead. The main character was very scared. He didn't know what was happening and how he should react. Benji asked the main character in a frightened voice, "Does he really think ghosts are nonsense?" The mercenary asked the guy excitedly, "Did he really think that she would be afraid of something like that?" The main character was excited. Everything was unexpected for him. He could not understand what happened to Benji. Lizzie came up and put her hand on the mercenary's shoulder from behind. She was very scared. The girl asked the mercenary suspiciously, "Is she planning something?" Lizzie asked the mercenary angrily, "Could all this have happened because of her?" The main character asked his girlfriend in fear, "What is she talking about?" Lizzie answered the guy so that he would think about it himself. The girl said that everything that had happened so far was related to the mercenary. Benji thought to herself that she couldn't dispute that. Lizzie said the attacker could have done something again to separate her from her boyfriend. She could have made the killer hide in the school premises. The girl looked sternly down at the mercenary and said that all this could just be a game. Benji turned around and said to her interlocutor with displeasure that she was putting forward ridiculous theories. Lizzie pointed her finger at the mercenary and said that she was very worried. This confirmed her suspicion. Benji asked her dissatisfied interlocutor if she had any evidence. The mercenary asked the girl if she had any proof that she did all this. The main character told his girlfriend that she can't bully her friend like that without proof. Lizzie was very angry. She didn't like that she was asked for proof. The girl tied up the mercenary and held her in her arms. They were standing in the school corridor. Lizzie shouted happily that she could just look for evidence. The main character was very scared. He couldn't understand what was happening here. Lizzie shouted angrily at the guy that Benji was just pretending. The girl came close to the mercenary and shouted that she would reveal her disguise. Benji asked her interlocutors angrily and furiously what they were doing to her. Lizzie kicked open the door to the school office. She shouted to the mercenary that even the ghosts would run away from her. The main character and his girlfriend looked fearfully inside the school classroom. Lizzie threw the mercenary inside the room. She demanded that she bring her subordinates to her. The girl explained to the main character that they would throw the Benji into the office and wait to see what would happen. The mercenary lay on the floor. She didn't like the fact that she would have to endure such humiliation. Suddenly the girl heard something suspicious from the side. She turned around in fear. Benji noticed something white starting to approach her from the side. The mercenary got scared. She realized that there could be a ghost next to her. The girl lay there and watched attentively as the ghost began to approach her. The main character and his girlfriend were very scared and worried. Benji was very scared. She rushed towards the guy at full speed. Yuri was very surprised. The mercenary rushed towards him in fear and hugged him. The main character was very surprised. He did not expect that Benji could be so scared. Yuri realized that the mercenary was not pretending. She was really very scared now. The main character looked around the classroom carefully. He realized that there really was something there. Yuri stood next to his girlfriend. They saw with great excitement how a white ghost appeared in the room. The main character was holding the mercenary in his arms. She was very scared. Lizzie was standing next to him. Yuri demanded that the girl get off her. Lizzie asked the mercenary with interest what she was doing. The main character said that, most likely, Benji simply lost her head. Yuri looked closely into the classroom. He wanted to understand what the girl was afraid of. Lizzie stood to the side. She watched with great attention what the main character was doing. The girl couldn't believe that the mercenary could be so scared. Suddenly people heard someone from the room shouting for them to go away. An ominous voice from the darkness shouted at the people to go away. Lizzie was very scared and worried. She realized that there really was someone in the class. The girl looked closely and noticed the outline of a ghost in front of her. Lizzie was very scared. She realized that there was a real ghost in front of her now. The girl noticed a glow appearing inside the room. She became worried. The ghost began to approach. It shouted angrily at the people to go away. The main character and his girlfriends were very scared. They realized that they had to run away. Yuri and the girls ran along the school corridor and screamed in fear. Yuri ran very fast. At that time, he was carrying his girlfriend in his arms. The guy, frightened and surprised, asked the girls why they were afraid of ghosts if they themselves were murderers. Benji said with a smile to the main character that all this is an occupational hazard. Yuri shouted in fear to his girlfriends that they needed to calm down. He added, that they needed to figure out what it was. The guy was running with his girlfriends. A ghost was running after them. Unexpectedly, the main character slipped while going down the steps. At the very last moment, the main character managed to grab the ghost with his hand. People started falling down the steps. The boss shouted to his girlfriend to watch out. Lizzie jumped back in fear. She noticed the ghost fall to the floor next to her. The girl turned around with excitement. She noticed the main character lying down. Yuri lay exhausted on the floor. Benji was lying on top of him and a ghost was lying next to her. The protagonist looked closely at the ghost in front of him. He looked scared. The ghost grabbed the guy with his arms from below. He began to come to his senses. Yuri rose from the floor, his head still spinning. Lizzie felt very angry. She looked at her friend with hatred. The girl looked at the ghost in surprise. She was very angry. The girl got really angry. She didn't like at all that the ghost touched her boyfriend. The ghost started waving his arms and shouting at the girl to go away. Lizzie swung her hand and hit the ghost with all her might. She asked very displeasedly, "What does he want?" The girl shouted at the ghost to prepare for the consequences of touching her boyfriend. The main character saw a ghost from behind. He shouted to his girlfriend that it was all a misunderstanding. Yuri noticed that there was some girl in the ghost costume. The guy shouted again that this was all a misunderstanding. Lizzie yelled at the guy that she had reasons to hit the ghost. The main character put his arm around the ghost. He shouted to his girlfriend to wait. Lizzie hit the ghost with all her might. The ghost flew off to the side along with the guy. The main character was lying nailed to the wall. There was a ghost next to him. Lizzie was very scared for her friend. She ran up and called him by name. Suddenly the girl stopped. She saw her friend under the ghost costume. Lizzie was surprised to see her colleague Vicky sitting on the floor in a green suit. Victoria was very scared. She wanted to justify herself to her friend with a breaking voice. Lizzie decided to take revenge on her friend for pretending to be a ghost and scaring them. Lizzie asked her interlocutor very sternly if she had really been hiding in school all the time instead of returning to England. Vicky replied that that was exactly how it had been. The girl sternly asked her interlocutor, did she really want to follow her together with Yuri? Victoria explained to her friend that she was just a little interested in her relationship with Yuri. Lizzie demanded sternly from the mercenary that she return to England immediately. Vicky threatened in response that she would tell Madame about all the secrets. The main character watched the conflict between the girls. He realized that something had happened between them. Vicky cried out in displeasure that she had nowhere else to go. Lizzie suggested that her interlocutor return home. The main character called his girlfriends. He decided to offer them something. Yuri told the girls that Vicky could simply live with them. Victoria was very happy. Benji and Lizzie did not want another mercenary to live with them. As a result, the main character's family received a new addition in the form of the mercenary Vika. Vicky was in Benji's room. She said discontentedly that very soon the main character and Lizzie will really be together. The mercenary replied that she knew everything perfectly well. Vicky angrily accused her interlocutor of doing nothing. Benji angrily reminded her interlocutor that she also lost to the main character and Lizzie. Vicky reported that their methods had been a failure from the start. Benji asked her interlocutor, did she really have an idea? Victoria thought about it. She told the head of the clan that his help would be needed. The guy woke up. Yuri had been suffering from chronic fatigue lately. The main character decided to go and make himself breakfast. He knew that his girlfriend Lizzie was still sleeping. Yuri went out to the kitchen. He told himself tiredly that he could manage to wash the clothes. Suddenly, the main character saw his girlfriend in the kitchen. He was very surprised. Vicky turned around and asked the guy with interest, is he already awake? Vicky was standing in the kitchen dressed as a maid. She told the guy that she would wake him up when everything was ready. The main character was surprised. He looked at his girlfriend silently and suspiciously. The girl explained to the guy that he shouldn't worry. She added that she had already finished the housework. Yuri looked around the kitchen carefully and with surprise. Everything around was clean. The guy noticed that the furniture around was clean. The shoes were in order. He asked the girl if she had done all this. Yuri excitedly called his girlfriend by name. The girl told the guy not to worry. Vicky explained that she was doing all this as compensation for living here. Yuri became very worried. The girl explained to him that she would be doing housework as a maid. Lizzie entered the kitchen. She noticed the main character and his girlfriend in front of her. Lizzie was angry. She didn't know what Vicky decided to do with her boyfriend so early in the morning. Lizzie asked her friend with displeasure, why is the main character crying? Vicky answered that the guy is in bliss. The mercenary reported that apparently Yuri did all the housework. Vicky explained to the girl that she had to share the housework with her boyfriend. Lizzie collapsed on the floor under the weight of the accusations. The protagonist told Vicky that he had only asked his girlfriend to take a break. The girlfriend came to her senses. She looked at the main character with great attention. Yuri stood and listened with great excitement to the various accusations from Vika. Lizzie was sitting on the kitchen floor. She watched as the main character was still arguing with the girl about something. Yuri was proving something to his interlocutor with great enthusiasm and a smile. Lizzie looked at her friend with great attention and interest. Lizzie remained silent. She decided not to enter into the conversation between the protagonist and Vicky. Benji sat down at the table. Vicky put out the dishes with food and said that everything was ready. There was various food on the table. The girl said that she had prepared Romanian dishes. Yuri asked the girl with excitement, is she really not going to eat? Vicky answered that she was just a maid. Lizzie asked her interlocutor if she had poisoned the food. Vicky answered her friend with displeasure that she was thinking about nothing else. The girl looked at the dish of food with suspicion. She decided to try it. Lizzie tried the food and liked it. She felt it tasted good. The main character smiled and said that Vicky was a really good cook. Lizzie continued to eat the food. She thought the food was definitely good. The girl looked at the main character attentively. He was pleased with the food. Lizzie put her spoon on the plate. She realized that she didn't want to eat anymore. Lizzie stood up from the table abruptly. Those around her looked at her in surprise. The main character, along with his girlfriends, looked at Lizzie with surprise. The girl said to her interlocutors in a displeased tone that she didn't like the food. Lizzie confirmed to her friends in a disgruntled voice that she did not want to eat such food. Yuri was very surprised. He asked the girl what she was saying. Vicky sat down on the floor. She said in an exaggerated voice that it was a very big tragedy that Lizzie didn't want to eat food. Vicky ran to the exit. She shouted that this is all a failure and it is all very terrible. The maid shouted to her friends not to follow her and to let her be alone. The girlfriend told the main character not to go after Vicky. It could all be a trap. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with displeasure and said that he was very disappointed in her. Lizzie was unpleasantly surprised. I didn't like such words from the guy. The main character said that he would now try to get Vicky back. He added that Lizzie should think about apologizing. Benji was eating the food with great appetite at this time. It seemed delicious to her. The mercenary raised the spoon to her mouth. At this time, she was thinking about something of her own. The main character said goodbye to the girls that he would go and bring Vicky back. He added that Lizzie should think about apologizing. Benji came up and put her hand on Lizzie's shoulder from behind. She told the girl not to be upset. The mercenary told her daughter that Yuri was an ordinary guy like everyone else. Benji asked the girl angrily and very sternly, does she understand her? The mercenary told the girl to return to the life she was born to. Suddenly, the girl swung her hand and hit her interlocutor in the face with all her might. Benji was very scared. She asked the girl, what is she doing to her? Lizzie was briefly surprised. She looked at the mercenary with an uncomprehending look. The girl angrily asked her interlocutor what was happening to her here. Lizzie decided to interrogate her interlocutor in her house. She tied her to a chair. Lizzie said to her tied-up rival with displeasure that she was speechless. The girl asked Benji if she had come up with this trick together with Vicky. The mercenary replied that it was all like that. Lizzie kicked the girl in the leg as hard as she could. She shouted that there was not a single day when they could relax. The girl demanded that her captive tell her the details of the plan. Benji answered the girl angrily that she underestimated her. Lizzie held out a whole bunch of tools in her bag to torture her interlocutor. The girl began to use various methods to extract the necessary information from her captive. Lizzie told her exhausted captive that she had missed something important. The girl said that she has learned to loosen the tongues of even professionals. The captive was scared. Lizzie asked the girl if she was ready to test the effectiveness of her methods on herself. Benji was very scared. She realized that the girl would be able to get the necessary information from her. Lizzie began to use all her strength to extract the necessary information from her captive. Benji told everything that was necessary for the interlocutor. Lizzie said joyfully to herself that she understood what was going on. The girl said that Vicky wanted to change the main character and take his virginity. Vicky decided that the naive guy would stay with her after their first love. Lizzie said sensibly that she couldn't even seduce a guy. She doubted that Vicky could do it. Suddenly a thought came into the girl's head. She became very worried. At this time, the main character caught up with his girlfriend and called her. She was walking down the street. Yuri was out of breath. He told the girl not to leave. He added that everyone was worried about her. The guy told his interlocutor that Lizzie didn't mean to offend her. Vicky asked the guy, "Did he really go all the way to tell her that?" Yuri told the girl with a smile that everything was fine and he was able to breathe some fresh air. Vicky became very worried. She was surprised by the main character's answer. Having calmed down a little, the girl told the main character that he was very kind. The mercenary told the guy that he always looks at everything in a positive light. She said that she now understood why Lizzie liked him so much. Yuri said thoughtfully to the girl that people always strive for what they don't have. The main character looked at the girl with a smile and said that when he looks at her, he sometimes thinks about something like that. Yuri told his surprised girlfriend that she was very beautiful and he would like to be like her. The guy asked the girl with a smile if these thoughts were similar to what she was talking about. Vicky was deep in thought. She looked at the guy with great attention. The mercenary took out the bottle. She decided to herself that she thought the same as the guy. The girl prepared to attack the guy. The main character did not suspect anything. Vicky called the guy by name. The main character turned to the girl in surprise. The interlocutor asked the main character to forgive her. Yuri became very worried. Vicky poured the contents of the bottle onto a handkerchief. The protagonist did not have time to defend himself. The mercenary suddenly ran up to the main character from behind and put a handkerchief on his face. Yuri was very scared. He couldn't understand what the girl was doing to him now. The protagonist felt his strength leaving him. A mercenary stood behind him. The guy and the girl were standing on a deserted street. There was no one around. Vicky grabbed the main character and pulled him sharply to the side into the alley. The mercenary threw the guy aside with all her might into a pile of trash. Yuri called his interlocutor by name in fear. The girl told the guy that he should not resist. Vicky told the scared boy that she didn't want to kill him. She added that he needed his virginity. The main character told his interlocutor that he would never agree to such a thing. Vicky happily answered the guy that she expected such a thing. The main character was surprised. He could not understand how the girl could expect such an answer from him. Yuri noticed that a bottle with a special liquid was hidden on the girl's body. The main character felt his heart start beating faster. He became worried. Vicky asked her interlocutor with interest, "What is he feeling now?" The girl asked the guy what was happening to his body now. Vicky started to undress little by little. She asked the guy if he wanted to taste her body. Lizzie ran excitedly down the street. She thought to herself that Vicky couldn't have gone far. The girl ran as fast as she could. She had to hurry before it was too late. Lizzie clearly imagined her friend together with the mercenary. She ran faster and faster. The main character very clearly felt the same symptoms in his body as before at school. Vicky told the main character that he was trying to hold back. She added that the guy looked cheerful despite his appearance. The girl smiled slyly at the guy and said that there was no point in it. Vicky told the worried boy that the purpose of the drug was to keep him from holding back. Yuri felt to himself that he could no longer control and restrain himself. Vicky asked the surprised guy, "Does this really what he wants?" Yuri remained silent in response. The interlocutor told the guy that love is nothing more than an excuse to do other things. Vicky began to undress the guy. The interlocutor told the guy that she had already experienced and knew how insignificant love is. The main character watched silently and with excitement as Vicky approached him. The girl looked at the guy and asked with interest if he wanted a kiss. Vicky closed her eyes and said why not. She approached the guy. Suddenly the main character started pumping very loudly. The girl got very scared. The girl was scared. She couldn't understand why her friend screamed. Vicky sat and looked at the main character with great surprise. She did not understand what happened. Girlfriend asked the main character, What did he just do? Yuri explained to his interlocutor that he had seen his father do something similar before. He added that when a person experiences a strong shock, he immediately comes to his senses. The protagonist calmly told the girl that the love she was talking about was different from the one he knew. Yuri said happily to his interlocutor that his thoughts about Lizzie were similar to what she had just told him. Vicky was very surprised. She did not expect to hear such words from the main character. The mercenary got angry. She realized that the plan did not go as she wanted. Vicky said angrily to the guy that he leaves her no other choice. She leaned towards him. The girl took metal handcuffs out of her pocket and told the surprised guy that she would do everything her own way. The mercenary threw the handcuffs towards the guy to tie him up with them. Vicky turned away and told the guy that she still had to take his virginity. The mercenary approached the guy and began to undress him. The protagonist asked the girl what she was doing. Vicky told the guy that he should break up with Lizzie. Vicky kept telling the guy that he had to break up with Lizzie. The girl explained that when the guy breaks up with his girlfriend, she will get her calm personality back. Vicky told the surprised protagonist that Lizzie was very patient. She had never been like that before. Vicky explained to the guy that the Lizzie she knew before was more apathetic and straightforward. The mercenary said that Lizzie used to be the kind of girl that people wanted to emulate. The main character told his surprised interlocutor that he couldn't understand what she was talking about. Vicky grabbed the guy by his clothes. She told him that he lived a simple life and couldn't understand her. The main character answered his interlocutor that it was absolutely unimportant what she had said before. Yuri asked the girl what she meant when she said that she knew Lizzie before. The main character wondered if his girlfriend had really said before that she wanted to be an apathetic person. Yuri said that his girlfriend is very gentle and impressionable. The girl at that time was rushing to help her friend. The main character said that the words that Vicky said earlier were said by Lizzie's father. The main character explained to his interlocutor that she was trying to impose her ideals on Lizzie. The guy explained to his surprised interlocutor that she should first try to sympathize with Lizzie. Vicky was very angry and did not like the words of her interlocutor. The girl decided to continue undressing the main character. He could not resist. The mercenary angrily shouted at the guy that she would not allow this and would not go for it. Lizzie suddenly appeared. She unexpectedly kicked the mercenary in mid-flight. The girl continued to kick Vicky. She asked her angrily if she knew who she was dealing with. The girlfriend turned around and asked the guy excitedly if he was okay. Yuri replied that he was fine. Lizzie looked closely and noticed with horror that the main character was already very undressed. The girl was very surprised. She looked at her friend with great attention. Lizzie was very embarrassed. She didn't know what to say. The main character asked his girlfriend for forgiveness. The main character told his surprised interlocutor that he should apologize for what happened today. Yuri thanked his girlfriend for coming to save him. The girl smiled at her boyfriend. She was pleased with his gratitude. Lizzie said happily to her friend that she agreed with his words. In the evening, in the school building, the boss thanked his subordinate for the preparations. The leader told his subordinate that he did not think he would hide here. The subordinate explained that this place was the most suitable. The attacker stood at the window. He said joyfully that everything would finally be over. The boss told himself that he would take revenge on the Springfield bastards who had taken everything from him. The main character and his girlfriends were getting ready for school in the morning. Someone shouted in fear that they were already late. Vicky stood and looked at the TV with great attention. Something interested her. The maid saw something interesting. At that time, the main character was getting ready for school with his girlfriends. Vicky told her friends in surprise that she had been to the school they were talking about on TV. Yuri and the girls watched a television report about their school. The main character was very amazed and interested. His girlfriends were also surprised. On TV, they said that terrorists had infiltrated a high school in the city center. The main character was very excited. He asked his girlfriends what would happen this time. Benji said very angrily to his interlocutors that something like this had happened before. She added that she was innocent of this. Yuri said thoughtfully that it was not Benji or Victoria's fault that what happened at school happened. The announcer on TV said that the leader of the terrorists was a man named Alejandro. Benji suddenly became very happy. The main character asked the mercenary why she reacted so joyfully to this. Yuri angrily told the mercenary that she must be behind all of this. Benji responded to the protagonist that she had no idea what he was talking about. The mercenary explained that she works all over the world. She added that she has a couple of cases with Alejandro, but she is not connected to him in any way. Benji asked the protagonist, "Does he really think they would target someone for personal reasons?" Yuri at this time looked to the side with great attention. He noticed how Vicky was behaving very strangely. The mercenary sat and showed some gestures in front of herself. Yuri looked at her with excitement. One of the girls said in fear that the terrorists were announcing their demands. Alejandro demanded that a helicopter be prepared for him, adding that pursuit would lead to senseless casualties. The leader announced over the loudspeaker that he wanted to get a student named Lizzie Springfield. The main character and the mercenary turned around carefully and looked at Lizzie. Lizzie was very surprised. She herself did not understand why the leader of the terrorists called her name. Alejandro said he didn't know how people managed to keep the Springfield students safe. Benji was amazed. She looked attentively from the TV to the girl. The terrorist leader warned the people that if they decided to ignore their demands and run away, Alejandro raised some kind of vessel in his hand so that it could be seen from afar. The terrorist warned people that he would kill the hostages with a special sleeping gas. Alejandro angrily told the people that they must submit to his demands. Yuri noticed his girlfriend turn around and get ready to leave. He became very worried. Lizzie stood by the door. She said that the terrorist wanted her, not her friends. The girl told the worried protagonist that he should stay at home. Benji decided to go along with her colleague. She added that an ordinary person should not interfere in such an incident. The mercenary smiled and said that she would help Lizzie in a similar situation. Benji explained that she had to teach the terrorists a lesson because they couldn't tell business from pleasure. Lizzie smiled happily. She realized that she now had an assistant. Benji shouted to her daughter that they would see how much better she had become. Lizzie answered her interlocutor on the go that they would show what they were capable of. The girls shouted goodbye to the main character that they would be back soon. Yuri turned around and asked Vika why she wasn't going with her colleagues. The girl answered fearfully that everything was fine. The main character told his interlocutor that he needed to worry about the girls. Vicky calmed the guy down and said that there was no need to worry about their girlfriends. Yuri realized that the mercenary was right. He decided that he didn't have to worry about his girlfriends. Yuri looked at the running girls and realized that he believed in them. The main character was surprised to notice on TV that his girlfriends had been taken hostage by terrorists. Yuri was very upset. He couldn't understand how the girls from the clan of assassins could get caught so easily. The main character, sitting near the TV, told his girlfriend that they also needed to go to school. Vicky asked the guy in fear, "Do they really need to go too?" Yuri asked the frightened girl in surprise. What was she thinking about? The main character grabbed his interlocutor by the hands and told her that they had to go and save their friends. Vicky looked down. She felt excited. The main character looked at her confidently. The terrorist Alejandro was waiting. He knew that his friends would come to save Lizzie. The main edge and her friend were crawling through the school ventilation. The girl thought it was cramped here. Vicky could barely move through the ventilation pipe. It was very difficult for her to move. Yuri asked the girl if everything was okay. Vicky told the guy to continue following her. The main character continued to carefully crawl after his girlfriend in the ventilation pipe. Vicky suddenly stopped crawling. The main character hit her from behind. Yuri said with a smile that crawling through the ventilation is not as easy as they show in the movies. Vicky said to the guy with displeasure that she thought he would have at least some kind of plan. Gradually, they approached the place where the hostages were. Suddenly, the girlfriend kicked the main character in the head with all her might. Vicky turned around and looked at the guy. She realized that she had accidentally touched him with her foot. Yuri said to his interlocutor with a smile that if she was with him, then something should come out of it. Vicky turned around. She looked at the main character for a long time and with a smile. Yuri noticed that his girlfriend's face had turned red. She asked, "Is she really hot?" Vicky kicked the guy in the head with all her might. She shouted that this was no big deal. The mercenary told the protagonist to keep quiet and focus on the task. The girl crawled to the grate. She saw people below and became worried. Vicky whispered excitedly to the main character that she had found girlfriends. Vicky noticed their tied-up girlfriends sitting below. She noticed that they were not hurt yet. The main character, with surprise and great interest, wanted to look at the hostages. Yuri tried to turn over to see what was happening below. Vicky said to the guy with displeasure that he irritates her. She asked, "Does he see his girlfriends?" Yuri was lying close to his girlfriend. They were very uncomfortable. Vicky asked the guy discontentedly, "What is he talking about now?" She felt very uncomfortable. Yuri told his disgruntled girlfriend happily that he could still move. The protagonist heard the chief from below tell the girl Lizzie that he had planned it that way, that she would come to him. Alejandro told his interlocutor that she had brought someone else with her. Yuri and Vicky listened attentively. Alejandro angrily asked the girl if she was Benjamin Springfield's daughter. The leader told the girl that he was asking him for forgiveness for dragging her into adult affairs. Lizzie sat on the floor silently next to Benji. Alejandro told the girl that he would let her go safe and sound when all this was over. Lizzie was surprised. She couldn't understand how it happened that the chieftain was telling Benji Springfield about this right in front of him. The girl slyly told Lizzie that last time she beat Alejandro up good. Benji told the girl that that's why they had to commit murder. Lizzie asked her interlocutor angrily why she was accusing her of this now. Benji shouted at the girl that if she had come alone, the terrorists would have been dead long ago. Lizzie hit the mercenary and shouted at her to shut up. Lizzie asked the leader very angrily, "What does he want from them?" Alejandro told his surprised interlocutor that she was a negotiating tool. The main characters, together with their girlfriend, realized that the situation was getting worse. Vicky understood that Alejandro wanted to negotiate with the president, who was now lying unconscious on the floor. Vicky looked at the main character and asked excitedly, "Does he really want the president to be killed?" Vicky told the protagonist that the terrorists could contact Madame. The interlocutor explained to the protagonist that Elizabeth Springfield is Lizzie's mother. This woman can be considered the monarch of their clan. Yuri suggested to tell Madame about everything as soon as possible. Vicky shouted at the guy to forget about it. The main character shouted in fear to his interlocutor that the result could be terrifying. Vicky informed the protagonist that it might already be very late. The mercenary told the protagonist that it would be easier if Lizzie's mother knew about this situation. Yuri became agitated. He looked at his interlocutor with great distrust. Lizzie asked the leader to tell her what he wanted from her. Alejandro looked at the girl and said that it would be fair if he told her everything. The man knelt down and told the girl that in any case, none of this was a secret. Alejandro began to tell his interlocutor very seriously what he wanted. The leader told the girl that he wanted Victoria White to be returned to his clan. Yuri and the girl were surprised when they heard this. The main character was surprised. He couldn't understand why Alejandro needed his girlfriend. The mercenary Victoria became very worried. She did not understand why the leader Alejandro needed her. The manager told the young girl that she had a new task. She had to get close to the man and force information out of him. The interlocutor handed the girl the documents and told her sternly that failure was not an option. The guy introduced the new mercenary to the boss. The man asked the girl if she was the new one who joined them. The man told the girl that he was very pleased to meet her. He asked her name. The mercenary stood and remembered something about herself. The main character called his girlfriend in a whisper. Yuri told his girlfriend that she looked gloomy. The girl answered the guy with a smile that she was completely fine. The main character whispered to the girl that they were fine, but their friends were not. Vicky became very worried. She realized that she would have to help her friends. The militants had the mercenaries at gunpoint. Yuri told Vicky that they had to do something. Alejandro told the girl that he wanted to exchange her for Victoria. Lizzie asked the leader what he was going to do with the girl. Alejandro demanded that they hand him the wiki. The leader looked at the girl with displeasure. She said that she didn't know what they had disagreed about with Vicky. Alejandro sternly told his interlocutor that Vicky clearly did not want to return to him. Suddenly, Benji rudely told the man that he should speak clearly. The mercenary explained that they did not take Victoria. The girl came to them herself. The leader asked his interlocutor who she was. Lizzie was very excited. Lizzie explained to the leader with a smile that Benji knew more than she did. Alejandro decided that Benji was the assistant of the leader of the sect of hired killers. The mercenary repeated once again and said that Victoria came to them herself. The main character and his girlfriend listened to the conversation. Yuri realized that Vicky herself ran away from Alejandro. The main character became worried. He understood why the girl had reacted so strangely before. Vicky explained to her interlocutor that all this was because she had been exposed earlier. The mercenary said that she herself told Alejandro that she was a spy in his organization. Vicky told the protagonist that she had already told him about this man. Vika infiltrated the organization as a child and was with its leader. Vicky kept her identity a secret for a long time. She decided that she would be with Alejandro and confess to him. The girl said in a sad voice that Alejandro still did not accept her. Because Vicky revealed herself, she had to flee and could no longer return to her original organization. The girl was left completely alone. She needed to find a new organization. At this moment, unexpectedly for Vicky, an opportunity for real help appeared. The president of the organization of hired killers decided to take the girl Vika into his service. The protagonist understood why Alejandro reacted so heartlessly. Benji sternly told the leader that Victoria trusted him and revealed her true identity. The man himself rejected her feelings. The mercenary said that Alejandro did all this with disgust. The man got angry. The leader was very angry. He shouted at the girl that he almost shot her without knowing it. Alejandro told his interlocutor excitedly that he had not kicked Victoria out. He asked the mercenary, how dare she say such nonsense to him? The man shouted angrily that he had not forgotten for a second about Vika's confession. The leader explained that the girl had revealed her identity to him. This meant that she had accepted him as her own father. The man explained that he knew perfectly well what the girl was doing. Vicky listened silently to her former boss. Alejandro asked Benji, does she really take him for a fool? Yuri listened with great excitement. Alejandro shouted loudly that he knew perfectly well that Vicky was a spy. The leader decided to fire his cane. He pointed it at the girl. Benji was scared. She realized that Alejandro wanted to kill her now. The leader held the weapon in his hands. He wanted to tell about the secret that Victoria told him. Suddenly, there was a very loud noise. Vicky and her friend fell out of the ventilation pipe from above. Benji and the leader turned around in surprise. They didn't understand what had happened. Lizzie and Benji stood silently. Alejandro looked and could not understand who had just fallen to them. The leader realized that he knew the girl who had just fallen out of the ventilation pipe. The main character saw his old friend Victoria in front of him. The main character was lying below her. The terrorists and the mercenaries looked in surprise at the appearance of Vicky and Yuri. The girls couldn't understand why their friends fell from above. Benji decided that the main character and her friend were watching them. Vicky shouted very loudly to the guy that she was in pain. He was very embarrassed. Yuri lay and looked at his girlfriend's legs. He felt very shy. Lizzie was very angry. Vicky explained to her friend that it was all an accident and she needed to calm down. The leader was very angry. He could not understand where and why the guy and the girl came from. Alejandro asked Victoria very angrily why she appeared here. The mercenary pointed angrily at the man and reminded him of her words. The leader shouted to the girl that he wanted to take her with him. Vicky told her interlocutor not to talk nonsense. The girl said angrily to Alejandro that she remembered his words that day. Vicky reminded the man of his shock and reaction to her words that day. Victoria reminded this man that he had abandoned her, and now he wanted to take her back. Alejandro wanted to justify himself. The man explained to his surprised interlocutor that this had all been a misunderstanding before. The man explained that he was shocked at that moment and did not know what to do. The leader said that he tried to contain his joyful emotions. That's why he was very happy. The mercenaries were very surprised when they heard such words from Alejandro. Victoria also did not expect such revelations from her former boss. Yuri stood next to her. The armed guards were very surprised by such revelations from the leader. Victoria was very surprised. She shouted very loudly at the man. Vicky grabbed the leader by the clothes with her hand. She shouted at him not to mess with her. The man told the girl excitedly that it was a drama in a family of blockheads. Alejandro sternly demanded that the girl return to them. Vicky answered the man that she would not return to such a weakling. The mercenary asked the leader angrily if he knew how much she had suffered after that incident. Vicky told the frightened man that she chose where she would stay. Alejandro asked the girl in a calm voice, "Does she really want to stay with these Springfield mercenaries?" Vicky shouted to the man that she wanted to show him the reason. She grabbed the protagonist by his clothes. Victoria shouted to the leader that she would not be with him. Lizzie got very angry. Vicky pulled the main character towards her and very unexpectedly kissed him. Yuri and the people around were very surprised. They did not expect such actions from the mercenary. After the kiss, the girl decided to explain everything to the people around her. Vicky held the protagonist in her arms. She said that she had decided to stay with him. The girls were very surprised. They looked at Vicky with surprise. Victoria explained that the main character is very determined and brave. Vicky explained to Alejandro that it was too late to go back. The leader got angry after hearing the words from the girl. He nervously squeezed his cane. Alejandro started shooting in all directions. He shouted that he couldn't accept this. Lizzie was very surprised. She couldn't understand why the man was so upset about losing Vicky. The protagonist noticed that the militants were distracted. He realized that it was time to act. Yuri jumped up and ran at full speed towards the terrorists. The main character began to untie the captives. They were very surprised. Alejandro shouted that there was no way that the girl Vicky could fall in love with the main character. Benji looked slyly at the man and said that she understood his feelings. The mercenary hit the leader with all her might. She shouted that he should take a break from his hysterics. Alejandro screamed very angry and disappointed. He realized that he would not be able to get the girl back. Benji thought happily to herself that the man had not been able to successfully follow the path he had planned. The mercenary turned around and thought that perhaps there had been a moment when Alejandro had begun to think of Victoria as his child. Benji looked to the side and noticed Lizzie running up to her boyfriend. The mercenary looked on in surprise as Lizzie looked very angry as she stood next to the protagonist. The girl grabbed Victoria with all her strength with her hand. A frightened Yuri stood nearby. Benji watched happily as Lizzie was finally able to meet her boyfriend. Unexpectedly, the mercenary began to have some exciting thoughts. She thought about it. Benji suddenly realized with excitement that the main character had come to save them. Lizzie at this time wanted to kiss her boyfriend. Benji thought to herself that the main character wasn't being targeted, but bullets were flying everywhere. The mercenary thought that the main character had the talent to take a step forward. At this time, a familiar girl arrived in the city. She was traveling with her suitcase. The stranger with this black hood looked at the photograph very carefully. The girl saw the image of the main character. She studied it carefully. The stranger approached the school gates. She carried her suitcase through the entrance. The girl remembered the main character. She thought that the two of them were pathetic and indecisive. The stranger remembered that she and the guy couldn't even tell each other what they wanted. The girl was very angry because their relationship came to an end. The stranger remembered the guy. She thought to herself that they were very lonely. The girl walked with her suitcase. She decided that she would do everything to ensure that this never happened again. The stranger carried a weapon in her hands. She decided that she wanted to become stronger. The girl thought to herself that she could sort out their relationship. As a result, the mercenary stood at the entrance to the school and looked at her. She realized that this day had come. The main character was with his girlfriends. He told the girls that all this could have ended terribly. Benji told her interlocutors that they almost revealed their identities. They somehow managed to come out of it clean. The mercenary looked at the main character and asked if he knew how old she was. Yuri opened the door to the locker. Benji told the guy that she should have dealt with Alejandro back then. The main character had some things and a message in his school drawer. Yuri looked into the mailbox and was very surprised. He did not understand what was there. The main character was surprised to realize that there was a letter in front of him from nowhere. Yuri could not understand who could have put the letter in his mailbox. He decided that it could have been one of the girls. The main character stood near the mailbox, annoyed, he thought. Yuri thought to himself that Benji would definitely not use such methods. The protagonist realized that his worst fears had been true. The mercenary asked the guy sternly, "Why is he acting strange?" Yuri asked the girl, "What does she mean?" The mercenary said angrily to the guy that such a reaction makes him even more suspicious. Yuri tried to justify himself. Lizzie looked at her friend with excitement. Lizzie looked away and thought. She began to suspect the main character of something. Yuri sat in the classroom and watched attentively as the lesson went by. The main character sat silently at his desk. He heard his friends decide to go to the store. Yuri thought happily to himself that he was left alone and he had free time. The main character took out a love letter. He decided to read it now. The girlfriend came up to the main character and called him by name. He was very scared. Lizzie asked her friend with excitement, "What is he looking at like that?" Yuri answered in fear that he was not looking at anything. The girlfriend looked at the guy with concern and said that he had his reasons. She added that she would not insist. Lizzie reminded the main character that he himself told her that they could solve difficulties together. The girlfriend told the guy that he would definitely have to understand this. Lizzie smiled and told her friend that when he understood, he would talk to her about it. Yuri was silent. He looked at his girlfriend with great excitement. The girl turned around and started to leave. She told the guy that they would see each other later. Lizzie realized to herself that the main character was hiding something from her now. Yuri held a compressed letter in his hand under his desk. He waited for his girlfriend to leave. The main character was left sitting alone at his desk. He was deep in thought. Yuri was walking down the street with his girlfriends. Benji asked her interlocutor, "What was that?" Lizzie told the mercenary that she herself never told her anything when she was little. The main character walked and thought about his own. Lizzie asked Benji with displeasure, "Has she really decided to raise a murderer out of her only daughter?" Yuri listened to his girlfriends talking. Benji answered her interlocutor with displeasure, that all this sounds amazing. Suddenly the guy stopped. He wanted to tell his girlfriend something. They stopped and looked at him. The main character held a mysterious message in his hands. The girls looked at him attentively. Yuri explained to his interlocutors that he found this love letter in the morning. The main character explained to the frightened girls that something like this had never happened before. Suddenly, the main character saw someone suspicious nearby. Yuri noticed a girl approaching him on the road. He began to recognize her. The stranger approached the guy. The girlfriends asked the guy, what did he want to say about the rest? The girl came up to the guy and told him that he had to finish speaking. She asked if Yuri was still so shy. Benji and Lizzie were very surprised. They didn't know who had just approached them. The stranger looked at the guy with burning eyes and called the main character by name. The girl looked menacingly at the main character and said that he needed to go back. Yuri was very surprised. He could not understand who he was seeing in front of him now. Benji approached the stranger. She asked her with displeasure, who was she to say something here? The mercenary put her hand on the girl's shoulder and asked her for a favor. Suddenly, the stranger abruptly removed the mercenary's hand. Benji was very surprised. Benji realized with fear that her opponent was much stronger than her. The girlfriend shouted at the main character that he would not be able to cope with a stranger. The girl threw Lizzie aside with all her might. The girl was sitting on the ground. Lizzie looked at her rival very angrily. She didn't like that she came without warning. The girl threw herself at the stranger from above and shouted that she dared to raise her hand against her. Yuri and the mercenary were very scared and amazed. They both screamed. Lizzie tried to hit the stranger. She quickly defended herself with a sword. The girl said very angrily that she only had business with Yuri. She told Lizzie to stay away from her. The stranger shouted that she was not as simple as she seemed. She advised Lizzie to retreat. The girl jumped back. Benji fearfully told the protagonist that Lizzie would not be able to help him in such a situation. The mercenary explained to the protagonist that Lizzie was trained exclusively to kill the target. Benji told the disgruntled protagonist that the stranger was indeed strong. The mercenary said sensibly that the girl who had come was clearly not going to kill anyone. Benji looked at the stranger and said that she was indeed stronger than Lizzie. The girl looked at the main character and said that they needed to return to the topic under discussion. Yuri plucked up his courage and asked his interlocutor, "Who is she?" The girl asked the guy, "Didn't he really read her letters?" The stranger said with a smile to the main character that he had not changed at all. Yuri took the letter and began to study it carefully. Benji looked in surprise as the boy held the letter in his hands. The stranger said that the main character was behaving just like before. The girl told the surprised protagonist that he was exactly the same. The stranger told this guy that he, like her, always goes very far. Yuri asked the girl excitedly if her name was Yudahi. The girl answered the guy that it was her. Yudahi reminded the guy that she ran away from him because of his obedience. The interlocutor sternly told the guy that she never forgot about that day. She added that since then she had not cut her hair. Yudahi slammed her sword into the ground in front of her surprised interlocutors. She told the guy that she had decided to change instead of him. The interlocutor told the protagonist that he could not change, so she became stronger instead of him. Yudahi extended her hand and told the guy that now it was time to get back to the relationship they were supposed to be in. The main character was very shocked and surprised. He looked at the girl with distrust. Benji became bolder. She ran up to the stranger at full speed and wanted to tell her something. The mercenary told the stranger that there was a time and place for everything. She added that she should have asked the man's consent first. Benji asked her interlocutor sternly, "Is it right to do this?" Suddenly, Yudahi took out her sword and struck Benji with all her might. The girl pierced the mercenary. She said happily that she had been waiting for this. Yudahi added that she had to spend a lot of time on this. The interlocutor shouted at the protagonist that she would not allow herself to be deceived anymore. She added that she would no longer succumb to his unpretentious personality. Benji was lying on the ground. Yudahi told the guy that she didn't come to make a deal or make a confession. She and Yuri lost that chance 2 years ago. The main character looked at the girl with fear. Yudahi told the guy that she came here to pick him up. The main character, together with his girlfriends, ran home and opened the door through the intercom. Exhausted Benji lay on the floor. Lizzie asked the guy in an exhausted voice what was wrong with his girlfriend. Yudahi appeared out of nowhere and immediately started a fight. She was very strong, but she was not a hired killer. Lizzie asked the main character, "Where did the girl come from, about whom she knows nothing?" The main character became wary. He decided to tell his interlocutors the whole truth. Yuri told the girls that he used to be a very indecisive person. The main character had known Dahi since high school. They had a good relationship for 3 years. Benji got very angry and she didn't like the story from the main character. She called it very banal. The main character was unhappy. He couldn't understand why his interlocutor didn't like his story. Vicky reported that the main character did not understand his girlfriend's feelings, and that is why she got angry. She added that this story is common. Yuri didn't understand why his girlfriend had gone so far. Victoria explained to the guy that female anger is different from male anger. Benji shouted goodbye to the main character that he was guilty in any case. The girl Lizzie looked at her friend silently and with great attention. Lizzie asked the strictly criminal hero if he had feelings for Dahi's girlfriend. Yuri explained excitedly to his interlocutor that he was so shy that he could not even imagine that someone could like him. The main character thought. He wanted to tell his girlfriend something else important. Suddenly a loud siren sounded in the house. The guy and the girls became worried. People saw through the surveillance system that Dahi was able to penetrate the fence. Lizzie was surprised that they had such surveillance equipment. The protagonist answered his interlocutor that they were in the house of a hired killer. Vicky shouted angrily that she would not tolerate such an encroachment. Yuri wanted to warn his friend. The maid ran as fast as she could. She shouted to her friends to stay put. The protagonist saw Dahi grab the maid with her hand. He shouted that he knew this would happen. Yuri thought to himself that Vicky would never be able to win against such an opponent. Dahi angrily shouted at the frightened protagonist to come out now. The interlocutor explained that all this concerns only the two of them. She added that Yuri should not run away or hide anymore. The girl told the main character that he must understand that all this is his fault. Lizzie got really angry. She didn't like what Dahi was saying. The girl came up and shouted at her rival that she had appeared out of nowhere and didn't even want to listen. Lizzie pointed a stern finger at her interlocutor and said that she was very self-centered. Dahi replied with a smile that she had nothing more to listen to. She added that third parties should stay away. Lizzie looked sternly at her interlocutor and said that she had a special relationship with Yuri. Dahi told her interlocutor sensibly that she did not know Yuri's true identity. The girl decided to tell all the details about the boy named Nam Yuri. A friend said that the main character was surrounded by indecision. Yuri never decided everything himself. He also never did anything of his own free will. Dahi asked the surprised interlocutor if she had confessed to the main character first. The interlocutor explained to the girl that Yuri chose her not because he liked her. Dahi explained that the main character started dating his girlfriend because she chose him first. The main character was upset. He realized that he would have to explain everything to his girlfriend. Lizzie got really angry. The main character came up to her and put his hand on her shoulder. The girlfriend turned to the main character in surprise. Yuri sadly answered his interlocutor that Dahi was completely right. The main character looked at the girl with a sad look and said that all this happened because of him. Lizzie looked at her friend with excitement. The main character wanted to explain everything to her. Yuri told his girlfriend boldly and decisively that he had to decide everything himself. The main character headed towards his friend Dahi with a decisive move. Lizzie ran after her friend in fear. The main character said that he should do it himself. Yuri said that he should have cleared up the misunderstanding right away. Dahi was very surprised. She didn't understand how the guy was supposed to explain anything to her. The girl smiled evilly and looked at the main character. She found him funny. Dahi laughed very loudly and unpleasantly. She was amused by the guy's behavior. The girl explained to the main character that he always tried to get around the problem itself. Dahi asked the guy angrily how he was trying to deal with the problem this time. The girl kicked the ground with all her might and cracks appeared. She shouted that she would not allow this to happen again. Dahi got going and shouted at the protagonist that she would make him accept her. The girlfriend ran at full speed towards the guy. She was waving a stick. Yuri wasn't scared at all. He calmly looked at the girl's weapon in front of him. Dahi swung her stick. The protagonist managed to jump aside in time. The girl was very surprised. She could not understand how the guy was able to dodge. Dahi was very angry. She didn't like that Yuri was able to dodge quickly and deftly. The girl continued to wave the stick in all directions. The guy dodged it very deftly. Dahi shouted to the main character that he was just lucky. Lizzie was surprised. She noticed that her friend suddenly developed a talent. Benji said happily that Yuri has a talent that is needed for people like them. Suddenly the main character stumbled on the ground. He began to fall backwards. The girls watched as the main character dodged the blows. One of them said that Yuri had talent. Lizzie was very worried about her friend. Benji said that the guy was completely fine. The mercenary said sensibly that the guy was becoming more and more nervous. Benji looked at Dahi in surprise and commented on how she fought. Dahi looked at the main character with great surprise. She remembered that the guy used to be completely different. The girl was very surprised. She did not understand what had already happened with the main character's indecision. The girl swung her stick with all her might. She was getting ready to crush the guy. The street fight between the main character and his girlfriend is over. Yuri was lying on this ground. His exhausted rival was sitting on the ground next to him. The main character asked his interlocutor if she had finished and if it was enough. Yuri told the girl that she could continue as long as she wanted and as long as she wanted. He reminded her that he was at fault 2 years ago. The protagonist put his hands on the shoulders of his interlocutor. He said that he had to take responsibility for himself. Yuri told the surprised girl that he was now going to say what he should have said earlier. The main character looked at his girlfriend with excitement and said what he thought. Yuri smiled and told his girlfriend that it would be better if they remained friends. Dahi was surprised. She couldn't understand what had happened to her friend. The girl decided not to fight any longer. She threw her weapon to the ground. Lizzie and Benji were very surprised and amazed. They looked at Dahi with surprise. Dahi felt exhausted. She didn't understand what had happened to the main character since then. She looked at Lizzie and Benji. The girl realized that most likely the main character was influenced by his girlfriend. She turned to the side. Lizzie stood. She looked at Dahi with hatred and very angrily. The girl thought. She was completely deeply immersed in her thoughts. Dahi covered her face with her hands. She realized that her friend had changed a lot lately. Yuri came up. He looked at his girlfriend with great surprise and called her by name. Suddenly, the girlfriend swung her hand and hit the main character in the face with all her might. Dahi told the surprised guy that he had worked very hard on himself. The girlfriend explained to the main character that if he had said this at the very beginning, everything would have been fine. Lizzie listened attentively to what the girl was saying. Dahi told the main character that he had finally become human. The girl looked at her friend with displeasure and said that he no longer belonged to her. Late at night, the main character was relaxing at home with his girlfriends. Benji opened the door to the bedroom. She looked at the guy very carefully. The mercenary looked at the main character and realized that he looked like an ordinary boy while sleeping. Benji thought excitedly to herself that Yuri had very rare skills. The mercenary called someone on the phone and said that she would need help. Benji was talking on the phone. She looked very carefully to the side at the sleeping guy. The mercenary told someone on the phone that if they delayed this, it would become a big problem for them. Yuri was sitting up the porch with his girlfriends. They were discussing the school trip. The protagonist drank juice and listened to the girls talking to each other. Lizzie said with displeasure that a school trip at such a time looked suspicious. Benji answered her interlocutor that now was the most appropriate time. The girl said very excitedly that the school had recently been the subject of a terrorist attack. Benji said very slyly to her interlocutor that it would be untrue if she said that she does not sponsor someone. Lizzie got very angry. Lizzie shouted very angrily at the mercenary that she would not forgive her if she did something stupid. Benji told her interlocutor very cunningly that she would not do anything during the school trip. The main character listened very attentively. He was very much touched by the words about the school trip. Yuri became very worried. Something made him very wary and scared. The mercenary told the protagonist that he didn't need to be so nervous. Yuri pointed his finger to the side with great fear. The guy and his girlfriends looked very closely at the glass of the door. There was someone there. Dahi stood close to the glass and looked attentively at her interlocutors. The girl stood near the glass and continued to call the main character by name. Yuri stood surprised along with her girlfriends. They did not understand what Dahi was doing. The girl stood close to the glass. She continued to look at the guy with a loving gaze. Dahi stood close to the glass and continued to touch it with her tongue. The main character became agitated. He pointed his finger to the side and could not understand what was happening. Dahi saw that the main character was pointing his finger at her. She pointed her finger back. Dahi showed the main character with her gesture that it was as if she had shot him. Lizzie ran up and kicked the door as hard as she could. She yelled at Dahi to get out. The girl asked her rival what she was doing here. Dahi replied that she had transferred to this school. Dahi said with a smile that she came back to see the main character. She added that Yuri had changed a lot. Lizzie looked at her interlocutor with great attention and hatred. The girl picked up speed and ran at full speed. She shouted that it was pleasant in its own way. Dahi flew over the school floor. She shouted that she and the main character became new people. Lizzie hit the girl from behind and told her to stop interfering in other people's relationships. Dahi turned around and told her interlocutor that she lacked logic in what she was saying. Dahi asked Lizzie why she doesn't drive away Benji, who is always next to them. The girl said that Lizzie was only increasing her attractiveness by keeping her retarded friend around. The interlocutor sternly told Dahi not to talk nonsense and to get lost in her class. The girl was distracted. She heard the school bell ring. Dahi waved his hand to his interlocutor. Lizzie asked the girl where her energy had gone. The girl stopped. She looked out and asked her interlocutor again. What did she say? Dahi slyly explained that she still had logic, but her reluctance and weakness had disappeared. The girl looked slyly at her interlocutor and said that she was not simple at all. She told the angry Lizzie that she lacked femininity. Standing near the door, Dahi waved goodbye to her interlocutors. The main character, along with his girlfriends, looked at the departing girl in surprise. Benji sat and looked at the main character. She thought about what happened. The mercenary looked at the guy. He was very excited. He sat and trembled. Benji turned around and looked out the window. She saw Dahi far away. The mercenary realized that the school trip would be very hellish for the protagonist. The main character and his friends arrived at the big airport building. Yuri thought happily to himself that this day had finally come for him. The main character had a serious problem on the first day of an important school trip. Yuri felt that he had problems with his body. He went to the toilet to relieve himself quickly. The main character was sitting in the booth alone. He understood that he wouldn't be able to get out quickly. Yuri was very unhappy and angry with himself. He did not understand why this happened. The guy was sitting on top of the toilet. He thought to himself that he had eaten something wrong. The main character recalled how he and his girlfriends had breakfast together. The boy very clearly remembered the dish, which was filled with white rice. The main character clearly realized that Benji added something to his food, and that is why he now feels bad. Yuri became very worried. He realized that the mercenary was to blame for his trouble. The protagonist realized that Benji had planned everything so that he would miss the plane. After that, he would miss the school trip. Yuri became very angry and nervous. He realized that he needed to get out of the booth. The protagonist began to unroll the paper. He thought angrily to himself that Benji was looking down on him. Yuri opened the cabin door with all his might. He realized that he needed to go to the plane. The main character shouted loudly to himself that this scheme would no longer work. Yuri looked very carefully at his ticket. He noticed that his plane departed at 11 o'clock and 5 minutes. The main character looked at his watch and saw with horror that it was already 11 o'clock and 3 minutes. Yuri picked up speed and ran at full speed to the exit of the plane's steps. The main character told himself that he could lose to Benji before everything started. The girl at the entrance shouted to the guy that the plane was taking off soon. She asked him to hurry up. In the end, Yuri made it to his plane on time. He happily took off. The main character sat quietly in his chair. He repeated to himself that he had made it to his flight. The guy decided to share the good news with his girlfriend. He shouted to Lizzie that he was able to reveal the plan. Suddenly, Yuri became worried. The main character looked around and noticed that he was sitting completely alone on the plane. The mercenary asked the surprised guy with interest who he was looking for. Benji looked at the guy from the top bunk and said that she still didn't look down on him. The mercenary looked at the guy angrily and said that she expected him to go this far. Yuri looked calmly at his interlocutor. Benji shouted to the guy that she would deal with him before he reached the purpose of his visit. The mercenary with a knife in her hand shouted angrily at the guy that she would get rid of him. Dahi suddenly appeared. She angrily shouted at the girl that she would not allow the guy to be offended. The girl hit the mercenary with all her might. She flew far away in the cabin of the plane. The protagonist was surprised. Dahi told the mercenary that she had been watching what she was doing. Benji was very surprised by the girl's appearance. She said that there could be no other passengers here. The mercenary was unpleasantly surprised. She looked with hatred at the girl who appeared. Benji angrily asked the girl how she managed to get in here. The interlocutor menacingly replied that her name was Yu Dahi. The interlocutor asked the Daka with displeasure how she had managed to get on the plane. The girl smiled in response. The girlfriend started following the main character when he was still in the toilet stall. Dahi angrily shouted that she wanted Yuri to belong only to her. The mercenary shouted at her interlocutor that she was talking too much. The main character was surprised. He asked the girls in fear what they were doing. The girlfriends were getting ready to fight each other. Benji rushed at her opponent with all her might and speed. They fought desperately. The main character was amazed. He saw before him a stunning battle between the girlfriends. The girls fought each other using different weapons. They didn't pay attention to anything. Suddenly, Dahi hit one button in the cockpit with her stick and broke it. The blow to the control panel caused the plane to lose control. The girls got scared. Light disappeared from the plane for a short time. People looked at each other with excitement. Due to damage to the control system, the airliner began to fall to the ground. The passengers were frightened. At this time, the girl Lizzie was on the ground at the airport. She did not have time to board the plane. The girlfriend stood frightened at the airport and looked around. She was thinking about the main character. Vicky spoke to her interlocutor on the phone. She said that the president was not even thinking about giving up. Victoria said on the phone that she had nothing to do with it. Lizzie asked her friend to come and pick her up. After a long conversation, Vicky answered her interlocutor that she would be there soon. At this time, the main character, together with his girlfriends, was falling from a great height in an airplane. The aircraft system signaled that the autopilot system had failed and an emergency landing had begun. The girl was very scared. The main character was next to her. There was a red light shining around. Yuri pressed himself against his girlfriend in fear. He didn't understand why everything had to end this way. The airliner continued to fall from a great height. A large amount of smoke was coming from it into the sky. The plane crashed on an island somewhere in the ocean. People managed to survive. The passengers got off the plane. The main character said he was surprised they survived. The girlfriend replied that it was an emergency landing, not a crash. Yuri asked the girl in bewilderment, "Where did they end up?" Dahi said to the guy in a joyful voice that they were like a couple who had run away. The guy asked his interlocutor if they landed. Does that mean they reached their destination? They must be on the private property of the Springfields. Benji answered the guy angrily, and with a smile that he was absolutely right. The mercenary informed her surprised interlocutors that they had landed on the Earth that their clan was proud of. Benji explained that they were in a training ground. She explained that only the sole survivor would be able to escape from here. The mercenary angrily told her companions that they had ended up on the island of the Hunger Games. Benji angrily told the guy that today, professional killers will conduct training like a royal battle. Yuri was very scared after such words of the girl. The girl took out a knife. She told the guy angrily that the other mercenaries wouldn't get to them. Benji turned around and angrily shouted at the main character that he would die at her hands. Suddenly, the clothes on the girl's body opened up. Dahi said to her interlocutor with displeasure that even she did not take such a step. The mercenary changed into a very beautiful swimsuit. She prepared to continue attacking the guy. Benji told the protagonist that she was done with this. She yelled at Yuri to stand still. The mercenary wanted to finish off the main character with a blade. The guy managed to escape into the forest very quickly. The main character fearfully told his girlfriend that they couldn't waste time now. Yuri realized that there was no time to waste. He grabbed his girlfriend with his hand and pulled her along with him. The girl thought. It seemed to her that the main character was behaving rudely towards her. Dahi watched with great excitement as the main character pulled her along with him. The girl happily thought that the guy belonged to her right at that moment. The girlfriend looked at the guy with a very loving look. She told him to continue. The girl shouted excitedly to the main character to wait. The girlfriend warned the main character that she could lose her clothes just like Benji if they ran too fast. The main character wanted to say something to the girl. Suddenly, he became very worried. Yuri noticed how his girlfriend began to undress little by little. He became excited and nervous. The girl told the guy that she needed to change. She added that she wouldn't be able to put on her swimsuit herself. Dahi looked at the protagonist and asked him to lend her a helping hand. The main character looked at his naked girlfriend. He didn't know what to tell her. The girl asked the excited protagonist if he would help her. The main character thought fearfully that he would like someone to help him. In the evening, a plane arrived on the uninhabited island. The girls had arrived to help their friends. The mercenaries were on the shore. One of the girls said that a long time had passed since she was here. Vicky told her friend to wear a bracelet. It will protect her from losing consciousness due to the electromagnetic field. Victoria said that their friends had crash-landed in that place. She added that the rest of the assassins must be in the middle of training and that they must be careful. Lizzie pointed her finger to the side and informed her surprised friend that she didn't think it was necessary. The girls looked at the lying body. Victoria asked in fear, who could have done this? Lizzie answered that it was all obvious. The girls walked along the ground past the body. Lizzie said that this way they would be able to understand where their friends had gone. The girlfriends made their way through the forest, using the bodies of the mercenaries as guides. The girls walked and looked at the bodies of the mercenaries. One of them said that it all looked creepy, even if the president decided to do this to his own people. On one part of the island there was an electromagnetic field. It extended from the edge to the middle. Suddenly the girls saw something interesting in the distance. They took a closer look. Lizzie told her interlocutor that they had come a long way. She added that they needed to hurry before it became too late. The girlfriends saw that there was some building on the island. They decided to approach it. Lizzie noticed with fear that Yuri was in the building along with Benji and Dahi. The main character and the mercenary were very surprised when they saw Lizzie nearby. The girl asked Vika, "Did she really betray her?" Victoria asked her interlocutor, "Since when had she been on their side?" Lizzie angrily shouted at the mercenary that this time she would not spare her. She added that she would put an end to it once and for all. Benji was scared. She held the gun in her hands and realized that she would now have a very difficult time. Benji looked at her angry rival with fear. She realized that she was surrounded. The mercenary stuck her hand into her swimsuit and shouted that she had nothing more to lose. Benji held the remote control in her hands. She screamed that she didn't want to do it. The mercenary activated the magnetic field enhancement. Changes began on the island. Victoria shouted that Benji had increased the electromagnetic field intensity to maximum. The girl felt unwell because of the magnetic field. Dahi fell to the ground. She felt sick in her body. Due to the powerful magnetic field, the girl could no longer stand up or move. Lizzie and Victoria looked in surprise at what was happening to the girl. Benji explained to her rivals that they were feeling a special stimulation right now. The mercenary told the strictly interlocutors that they would only be able to withstand the electromagnetic field if they were as trained as she was. The main character felt himself being pulled to the ground. He looked at his girlfriend. Yuri looked at the girl with concern. She shouted in a weak voice that she had gone too far. The guy excitedly called his girlfriend. Dahi, lying on the ground, whispered that she would protect Yuri. The main character continued to hear the voice of his girlfriend, who promised to protect him. Lizzie came up. She looked at the girl lying on the ground with great attention. A mercenary came up from the side and asked the surprised Lizzie, what distracted her? Benji ran up and hit the girl in the face with all her might. Lizzie watched with horror as the mercenary held a metal bracelet towards her. Benji was holding an electromagnetic field blocker in her hands. It helped her escape from the radiation. Lizzie felt how the radiation pulled her towards the earth with all its force. The mercenary threw the bracelet aside. She said angrily to her rivals that now it was all over. Benji glanced to the side. She decided it was time to return to the main goal. Suddenly the mercenary heard a very suspicious noise from the side. She looked around in fear. The girl noticed someone rushing towards her at great speed. She got scared. Benji was very scared. She couldn't understand who could overcome electromagnetic radiation. The mercenary noticed the main character in front of her at the last moment. She was amazed. Benji was very surprised by the guy's appearance. She didn't understand how he was able to move. Yuri knocked the mercenary off her feet. He shouted cheerfully that he was moving with great difficulty. The main character said with a smile that after the girl's words he could no longer just do nothing. Dahi was lying on the ground. She turned around and looked at the main character with great excitement. The mercenary demanded the guy to get off her with displeasure. Yuri said that Benji should feel everything on herself. Benji felt like she couldn't take it anymore because the guy hugged her. The mercenary lay and moaned in a hoarse voice. The main character became worried. A girl named Lizzie ran up from the side. She called the guy. The main character noticed that the mercenary had lost consciousness. Yuri and her companions flew away from the island on a seaplane. Lizzie told the protagonist that he had taken on too much. The mercenary was tied up. The girl explained to Yuri that everything could have ended very badly. The main character asked for forgiveness. Dahi sat to the side. She watched attentively as the guy talked to his girlfriend. The pilot said that they needed to fasten their seatbelts because they were taking off. Yuri turned to the side and thanked his interlocutor with a smile. Dahi sat and looked down in front of her. She was silent. One of her friends asked Yuri if he was listening to her. The girl sat and thought to herself that the guy always behaved abruptly. The plane with people continued to fly over the water. The girl thought that the main character was really sharp. The main character was walking down the street with his girlfriends. The sky was sunny. The students were walking around the city. They were on a school trip abroad. The walk along the street took place according to the planned schedule. Yuri was very happy. He had girlfriends around him. He felt that this freedom would not be interrupted by anyone. Lizzie turned around and reminded the mercenary that she had promised not to do anything during the school trip. Benji burst into tears when she heard that. The main character told his girlfriend not to provoke the mercenary. The mercenary grabbed the girl by the cheeks with her hands and asked her not to press on her. The main character told Victoria that everything looked as if none of this had happened before. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with concern. Vicky looked away with displeasure. Vicky was silent. She looked sadly to the side with her green eyes. The main character and his girlfriends approached a large building. He was pleasantly surprised. Lizzie told her interlocutor that her class was on a different schedule. Dahi was very angry at such words. The teacher told her students that Class A should hurry up because they were leaving. Lizzie took the main character in her arms. She shouted to the girl that she was already called. Dahi was very angry. She didn't like that her boyfriend was taken away right from under her nose. The girl angrily shouted at Lizzie that it was not the end yet. She promised to come back. Yuri looked at his girlfriend excitedly. Lizzie told the guy happily that the interference had disappeared. The girl looked at the main character and offered him a good time with a smile. Yuri was delighted. He smiled at his girlfriend and agreed with her request. The main character was walking along the street with a girl. They tried different delicious food. Lizzie was very pleased with her walk with the main character. Yuri thought that they were having such a good time without Benji. Yuri felt very happy. He enjoyed walking with the girl. The main character said that he wanted his every day to be like this. At that moment, a wooden needle suddenly pierced the wall. The guy and his girlfriends were carefully examining the needle. He realized that they were aiming at him. Yuri looked at the needle with fear. He didn't know what to say. Lizzie turned around and looked to the side. The girl noticed that their familiar girlfriends were sitting not far from them. Lizzie clearly saw Benji sitting at the table and Victoria next to her. Lizzie grabbed the mercenary by the head and reminded her that she promised not to lie. The girl angrily demanded that the mercenary stop pretending to be a fool. Yuri looked at everything that was happening with excitement. The girl angrily shouted at Benji that she would not forgive her for this. Lizzie swung her arms and grabbed the mercenary by the head. Benji's head suddenly fell off. Lizzie looked at the lifeless artificial body in surprise. She realized that it was not Benji. Suddenly, a very loud scream was heard from the side. Lizzie grabbed her friend in fear to protect him. The main character was scared. He couldn't understand what was happening at all. Yuri noticed how the food seller started to take out a huge dagger. The guy couldn't understand why someone wanted to kill them everywhere. Lizzie shouted angrily that only Benji could have set up such a trap. Vicky held the phone in her hand. She told her friends in a calm voice that she had already found out everything. Victoria said that in this place all the hired killers, they hunt Yuri voluntarily and not on the orders of the president. The main character could not understand why they were hunting him. Vicky showed her friends a message on her phone. It announced the winner of the Royal Games. It looked like the announcement their clan sends to assassins all over the world. Lizzie read with great interest that the winner of the Royal Games was Nam Yuri. The main character was very surprised. Victoria explained to her friends that Yuri was a newcomer to the world of killers. The main character was scared. He didn't understand why all this happened to him. Lizzie asked, "Why did Yuri become the winner? Was it really only because he was the last survivor?" Vicky asked Lizzie what she was going to do in this situation. The girl stepped forward decisively. She had a proposal. Lizzie confidently told her interlocutors that they needed to find all the murderers here and deal with them. Victoria asked her interlocutor if she could handle it alone. Lizzie answered the girl that she had trained in a clan of the best killers in the world. The girl pointed to the main character and said that she was most worried about him. Lizzie turned around. He looked at his friend silently and very slyly. The girl asked her friend to let Vicky look after her boyfriend in her absence. Victoria was surprised. She looked at her friend with surprise. Yuri smiled silently. Vicky looked at the main character with surprise. She didn't know what to say now. The mercenary was silent. She was very shocked by such a request from her friend Lizzie. Vicky was walking along the street with the main character. She didn't understand what Lizzie wanted from her. Victoria was sitting in a cafe with her friend. She thought to herself that Lizzie should have protected her boyfriend herself. The main character told his girlfriend that he would be completely fine. The interlocutor answered the guy that he could easily be killed. Victoria told the main character that if she left him, it would end badly for her. The girl explained to the main character that he would be able to deal with the hired killers himself. Vicky looked away. She told her friend that she would protect him no matter what. Victoria looked closely at the stranger who was standing in the room. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with great excitement. She looked away attentively. The main character asked the girl what she was surprised about. Vicky asked the main character what he wanted from her. The girl looked carefully in front of her. She noticed that the unfamiliar man had disappeared. Yuri said to the girl with a smile that there was nothing suspicious on the side. The main character thanked his girlfriend for helping him and Lizzie. Vicky told the guy that she was used to doing things for others. She added that she didn't have her own job. Victoria complained to her friend that no one was interested in her at all. The main character told his surprised interlocutor that she could charm anyone. The girl asked the guy with displeasure, "What is he saying?" Yuri reminded his girlfriend about the recent events. The main character told the dissatisfied girl that she was simply a beauty. Yuri told his interlocutor that she can do a lot and is very responsible. The main character told his shy girlfriend that if she transferred to his school, she would be very popular. Victoria felt very uncomfortable. She didn't know what to answer the guy. The girl jumped up and shouted angrily at the main character that it was time for them to go. Yuri asked his interlocutor where they needed to go. The girlfriend extended her hand to the main character and said that he wouldn't like it. The main character became worried. He realized that he would not want to go where Vika called him. Yuri found himself near the exit to the backyard. He became worried and scared. The main character didn't like that he and his girlfriend would go into the women's bathhouse. His girlfriend told the main character to be quieter. Yuri pointed his finger at the bathhouse door and said that it was inconvenient for him to hide here. The main character looked closely at the girl. She seemed especially attractive to him. Vicky told the guy that the place had poor soundproofing. She added that they could be heard from outside if he made noise. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with great embarrassment. The girl asked if he was listening to her. The girlfriend called the surprised protagonist by name. The guy was silent. Victoria felt embarrassed. She blushed and looked at her friend with excitement. The girl threw a wooden bucket at the guy. She asked him angrily, what was he staring at? Yuri looked at his excited girlfriend. He said that she looked beautiful with her hair down. Vicky swung the brush at the guy. She yelled at him to stop talking nonsense with a twisted face. Yuri, with a bucket on his head, asked the girl how she could see his face. The main character asked his interlocutor why she had undressed. Vika explained that they were in a women's bathhouse and that's why she needed to behave naturally if someone saw them. The girlfriend told the main character to hide in the locker. She promised that she would deal with anyone who entered this room. Yuri asked his girlfriend, what should he do if other girls come here while he is here? Vicky explained to the guy that it was unlikely that anyone would come in here, since she had hung a sign on the door that there was cleaning inside. Victoria explained to the surprised guy that the sign said that cleaning was in progress. The main character and his girlfriend heard the voices of two girls who came in. A friend asked her interlocutor if they would have problems. The girl replied that if they were reprimanded, they would leave. Guessed. I said that she sees that there is already someone in the water. My friend didn't understand. Then why is there a warning sign at the entrance? Yuri was hiding in the water. His frightened girlfriend was sitting above him. The main character felt that it was getting harder and harder for him. He couldn't breathe. Victoria very strictly asked her friend to behave quietly. Vicky explained to the guy that if they were exposed now, it would be the end for them. Victoria looked at the girls who had arrived with fear and said that there were a lot of people here. Vicky became even more frightened and surprised. She looked at the students who had arrived with fear. Victoria noticed how her familiar Dahi appeared in the water right next to her. Dahi looked silently and with great surprise at Vicky, who was standing next to her. Victoria looked at the Dahi with a calm gaze. The main character was below her in the water. Vicky, sitting in the water, thought excitedly to herself that Dahi might not recognize her. Victoria thought about it and realized that all this could have ended badly for her. The girl thought excitedly to herself that girlfriend could see the main character here. The girl excitedly told her friends that she could smell Yuri. Vicky became very excited after that. The girlfriend said discontentedly to Dahi that the main character cannot be in the women's bathhouse. Dahi said with displeasure that she could even taste the main character in the water. The girlfriend excitedly said that the main character could be here and that would be a problem. Victoria said to herself in fear that the danger had passed very close. Vicky heard the voice of the main character. He asked in fear, "Is it all over?" Yuri jumped out of the water. He shouted in fear to the girl that he almost suffocated. Victoria grabbed the guy by the head and shouted at him to get back under the water. Vicky suddenly heard someone approach her from the side through the water. Dahi looked at her friend with great attention and told her slyly that she was not mistaken after all. Yuri looked at his girlfriend in amazement. Dahi told the guy that he hid here at a very opportune moment. The girl looked at the guy and said that he had nothing to be embarrassed about anymore. The girlfriend shouted to the main character with a smile that she would help him find out everything. The main character was left alone with his female friends. He screamed in fear. The girl Lizzie was beating up the mercenaries on the path. She realized that she heard Yuri scream. The girl got worried. She ran and realized that something had happened to her boyfriend. The girl ran and shouted to the guy as she went that she would soon come to his aid. Yuri ran and carried his girlfriend in his arms. Victoria noticed that Dahi was running after them completely naked. The main character and the girl were moving through the trees. He was in a great hurry. Dahi ran at full speed to catch up with the fugitives. She destroyed an entire tree. Vicky noticed that their pursuer looked more like a combat android. Victoria warned the protagonist that the girl was gradually catching up with them. Vicky returned and continued to look at her pursuer with great excitement. The girl shouted at the main character to stop and give her a chance to get off. The main character shouted to his girlfriend to hold on. He added that he would sort it out himself. Yuri shouted at the girl not to say stupid things. Victoria asked the guy again to let her go. Yuri shouted fearfully to his interlocutor that he was worried about her. He explained that the girl always helps others and then gets into trouble herself. The main character told his interlocutor that she would always be with him until the very end. Victoria turned her head to the side and looked at her friend with a smile. Vicky sadly told her interlocutor that he was very reckless. The guy did not understand what the girl meant. Yuri ran with the girl through the forest. He told her that he would agree with her. Victoria told the main character that this side of his character is not so boring. Suddenly, she was very scared. She realized that the guy had tripped over something. The main character and his girlfriend began to fall to the ground at full speed. Yuri and the girl fell down and lay in the forest. It was night all around. The main character gradually came to his senses after falling at speed. Yuri sat on the ground. He looked at Victoria in front of him with great excitement. The main character justified himself to the girl and said that it was all just an accident. Dahi appeared nearby. She shouted to the angrily frightened guy that he could now play with her. The girl raised her hands up and shouted to the main character that they could create a new generation. Lizzie arrived just in time. She kicked the girl in midair with all her might. The main character was very happy to see his girlfriend next to him. He called her by name. Dahi stood at a short distance and looked at the people with excitement. Lizzie said discontentedly that she had stepped away for a short time, and something was happening again. The girl came up and grabbed Yuri's head with her hands and Victoria next to him. Lizzie asked his interlocutors very sternly how they ended up together on this dark mountainside. Yuri and Victoria were very scared. Her friend demanded an explanation from them. The main character and the girl screamed in fear in the forest. Benji turned around and told her friend that she had been through a lot of trouble. Vicky thought about it and told her surprised interlocutor that she didn't regret it at all. Victoria dreamily reported that all this was not just trouble for her. Lizzie stood on the balcony and looked at the evening sky. She was alone. The girl looked at the moon in the night sky. She thought about something of her own. A girl named Vicky appeared. She asked her friend, "What is she doing?" Lizzie was very unpleasantly surprised to see Victoria nearby. On the go, Dahi asked someone, "Where's the main character?" They answered that the guy is downstairs. Lizzie, standing on the balcony, said thoughtfully that the main character could do something with other boys. Vicky asked her friend, "Is she worried about something again?" The girl asked her interlocutor, "What does she mean?" Vicky asked the thoughtful girl if her worries were connected with the main character. Victoria thought about it. She answered her interlocutor that she was not sure. Yuri was engrossed in a computer game at the time. Lizzie said she wasn't sure if everything would stay the same. Vicky looked at her friend and said that everything would be fine with her boyfriend. Vicky told her friend sensibly that she might have doubts because of all the recent events. Lizzie told the girl that her relationship with her boyfriend was going in circles. She added that something happened to Yuri and after that she rushed to help him. Victoria told strictly that she began to get very nervous after the appearance of the Daka. Vicky told the girl that she was surprised that she went to assassin school with such a personality. Victoria told the girl cunningly that a rival had appeared on her path. Now Lizzie doesn't know what to do. Vicky explained that the main character is as naive as possible. Victoria assumed that Yuri might just say something stupid to her friend. The mercenary looked up at the sky. She said that it was perfectly normal to worry about that. Lizzie asked her friend, what exactly was normal to worry about? The main character appeared. His girlfriends were very scared of his arrival. Yuri asked the surprised girls with excitement, "What are they talking about?" The main character happily called his girlfriends by name. They were very surprised. The girl decided to justify herself. She told the guy that they hadn't talked about anything. The girlfriend told the main character that he had come just in time. She suggested that he go to the festival. Victoria turned around and told her friends that she was leaving them. Yuri looked at his friend and suggested that she go with them. Lizzie got really angry. She hit her friend in the face with her hand. The main character asked the girl why she hit her friend. Lizzie said in fear that she didn't want to. Yuri looked at the girl with concern and said that her face was red. He asked, "Is she feeling well?" The main character pressed his girlfriend's forehead to his own. He said that she didn't have a fever. The girl suddenly leaned back. It was as if her head was spinning. The main character called his girlfriend in fear. Lizzie was silent in response. Suddenly, the girl swung her head with all her might and hit her friend. Yuri grabbed his head with his hand. Lizzie ran to the exit. At this time, Victoria was lying on the floor. The girlfriend angrily demanded that the guy give her the opportunity to be alone with herself. The main character asked his girlfriend with interest, "Did he really do something wrong?" Vicky told her interlocutor to shut up. At that time, Lizzie was running down the street, which was full of people. The girl was running down the street under the light of the lanterns. She felt that it was already becoming difficult for her to breathe. Lizzie stood near the tree. She was breathing heavily. She didn't understand what had just happened. The girl remembered that the guy behaved normally. She didn't understand why she felt uncomfortable. Lizzie remembered to herself that she always did something similar with her friend without any problems. The girl did not understand why all this started happening to her. Lizzie remembered meeting the main character. She couldn't understand why everything was like this. At this time, a girl suddenly appeared from behind. She looked attentively ahead. Dahi stood and watched Lizzie's behavior with great attention. She was very interested. The girl said to herself that after observing, she realized that everything was exactly like that. Dahi thought to herself happily that such a chance comes once in a lifetime. The girl came up and demanded that the main character get up. Dahi looked at her friend and said that she came again because she thought something had happened again. The girl told the protagonist that something had happened to Lizzie and he had no idea what it was. Yuri thought to herself that the interlocutor had said everything correctly. Dahi looked at the main character and told him to go with her. Yuri was worried about his friend Lizzie. The girl asked the main character what he was going to do. She added that he didn't even know what was going on with Lizzie. The girlfriend extended her hand to the guy and said that she would tell him everything if he went with her. Dahi grabbed the guy by the hand and pulled him with her across the room. She added that Yuri should take a little walk with her. Victoria was lying on the floor, looking away without any emotion. Vicky looked at the people around her. She decided that she had to tell Lizzie everything. Lizzie sat very angry near the tree. She didn't know what to do next. The girl was very excited. She was shaking all over with excitement. Lizzie was very scared and worried. She didn't know what to do. She told herself that she hadn't understood herself lately. The girl remembered her fight with her friend. She couldn't understand what was happening to her. Lizzie decided to herself with displeasure that her friend thought she was very strange. Vicky came up. She asked the girl, "Is she still in that state?" Lizzie was very scared because of her friend's appearance. Victoria answered happily that it was her. The girls were talking to each other. The boy told his mother that there was someone next to them. Vicky told her interlocutor that she had spoiled everything well. She added that Yuri was very taken aback by everything. Lizzie asked her interlocutor not to remind her about it. Victoria sternly told the surprised girl that she had to come back. Lizzie listened to her interlocutor with great excitement. She felt that she became sad. Victoria looked at her friend with concern. Lizzie said discontentedly that she did not know why she was like this. The girl told herself that everything was very unclear to her and very scary. She added that she wanted the best. Lizzie explained to her interlocutor in surprise that everything concerning Yuri no longer looked the same as before. Victoria felt better. She told her interlocutor that she understood what it was. Vicky told the surprised girl that she would feel it very soon. Victoria stood up. She wanted to explain everything to her interlocutor in more detail. Vicky smiled and told the girl that she would feel the changes not soon, but finally. Lizzie asked her interlocutor what her words meant. Vika answered the girl that she would be able to understand everything herself. The girl demanded that her interlocutor not speak in riddles. Vicky answered the girl with displeasure that now was not the time to worry about it. Victoria told her interlocutor mysteriously that she couldn't ruin the fun part. The girl thought deeply to herself. She realized that her friend was right. Lizzie wanted to ask Victoria again what she meant. Vicky pointed her finger at her interlocutor and said that she would not tell her anything else. Victoria explained to the surprised girl that Dahi now does whatever she wants. Lizzie became very worried and angry. She realized that she needed to find the main character. Yuri was in the spectator arena at that time. He was waiting for the fight between the girl and the athlete. The main character looked around happily. He didn't understand how this happened. The guy asked himself cheerfully with a smile. Where is he looking? The athlete in the red dress prepared to fight in the ring against her opponent. Yuri said to himself with displeasure that he didn't know where he should look. The interlocutor told the guy to wait a little. She added that she would tell him everything after she won the first place prize. The girlfriend looked slyly at the main character and explained that she would tell him everything in a more private place. The athlete looked angrily at his opponent. He called her a cutie. The muscular man told the girl that she was too relaxed. The opponent said that in this place, the strongest fighters in the city decide who is the strongest this year. The man explained to his interlocutor that this was the best place for her. He added that they had no time for love talk. The athlete swung her arm and hit her opponent with all her might. The girl angrily told the astonished man that she had no time for him. The spectators were very surprised. The athlete said that it was necessary to finish with this as soon as possible. Dahi smiled and said to the side that she should win a lot of points. Dahi explained that she needed to win before Lizzie returned. The girl and Victoria were running along the roof at that time. Lizzie ran with her friend. They noticed the place of the fight in front of them. The mercenaries had difficulty making their way through the crowd of people that was around them. Lizzie and Victoria stopped. They watched the fight in the ring with surprise. The girls saw how their friend in a red dress was confidently showing something to people with her hands. Dahi stood next to her defeated opponent. One of the girls said that it all looked like some kind of event. Vicky said, surprised that Dahi actually knew what she wanted to do. The girls all turned to the side and looked at the main character. He was surprised. Yuri asked the girl in surprise where she had been. He said that he had been looking for her. Dahi was angrily surprised. She asked her rival why she was already here. Lizzie asked the girl what she was doing here alone with Yuri. The main character looked at his girlfriend with excitement. He called her by name. Yuri asked the girl in surprise what was wrong with her. He was holding her hands. Lizzie looked at her friend with great excitement. She decided that she was now feeling the thrill of love. Victoria spread her arms out to the sides. Lizzie looked at her friend with great displeasure. Dahi shouted at the angry girl that she was busy winning points. She told her interlocutors not to think of taking advantage of her efforts. The girl angrily shouted at her interlocutor that she was behaving stupidly because in the end, she decided to take credit for everything. Lizzie got very angry. She shouted at the girl to watch her language. Yuri looked at his girlfriend with excitement. She stretched her hand forward in front of her. Lizzie looked angrily at her rival and said that she would not allow this to happen again. Dahi looked at her opponent through the hole in the net with great excitement. Lizzie entered the ring. She asked the girl if she really wanted her to act more naturally towards Yuri. The main character looked at his girlfriends with fear. Dahi told her interlocutor that she really did have a bit of femininity. Lizzie reminded the girl that she wanted to win the prize in the duel. She added that if Lizzie wanted to get the main character, she would have to defeat her. The athlete looked angrily at the girl and said that she understood what she was going to do. Dahi turned to the side and said that she was waiting for her rival to show what she was free to do. Lizzie, very frightened and excited, noticed how Dahi suddenly jumped to the side. The girl tried to parry the blow. She felt that her opponent was very fast. Dahi swung her leg to hit the girl. She shouted that nothing had changed. The athlete angrily shouted at her opponent that she continued to bark but did not bite. Dahi shouted that the girl challenged her because she was angry, not because she could handle her. The girl angrily shouted that her rival was doing everything only because she thought she should do it. Dahi said with displeasure that Lizzie herself doesn't even know why she likes the main character. Lizzie thought to herself in horror that she really didn't know what she liked about Yuri. The girl thought that she had decided that she should pay the guy for forgiving her. Lizzie continued to block her opponent's punches. She didn't understand why she was doing this. The girl thought about it. She couldn't understand why she loved Yuri. Lizzie managed to block the blow near her head at the very last moment. She looked away. The girl noticed Vicky standing next to the main character near the market. Lizzie remembered Victoria's words, who said that she finally understood what love was. Lizzie stood and continued to fight off her opponent's blows with all her might. Dahi felt a huge surge of strength. She decided to finish off her rival. Dahi dealt another blow to the girl and was suddenly very surprised. Lizzie was able to block the blow. She told her interlocutor angrily that she had never thought about it. The girl explained that she owed a lot to Yuri, for which reason she always believed that she should repay him in kind. Lizzie continued to block the girl with her hands. She said that she heard from someone that their love was beginning now. The girl squeezed her opponent's hands with all her might. Lizzie angrily told the athlete that she was not going to give her the fun part. The spectators around the ring were very surprised. They did not expect such words from the girl. Dahi was very shocked and scared after the blow to the head. She lost her speech. After a powerful blow, the athlete fell unconscious to the floor of the ring. Lizzie turned to the side. She noticed how the guy was looking at her happily. Lizzie looked at her friend silently. She was pleased that the guy was happy. After a short pause, the girl smiled at her friend and showed him an optimistic gesture. The girlfriend suggested that the main character go with her. They decided to take a walk. The main character and his girlfriends were flying on board an airliner. Yuri was sitting next to his girlfriend. They were sleeping. Dahi was sitting tied up on the next chair. Benji thought that a guy with a girl can always overcome everything. The mercenary turned back. She looked at her friends for a long time and silently. Benji looked at the boy and the girl. She decided that if they were together, it wouldn't be as bad as she thought. The mercenary looked at her friends. She decided that everything would be fine with Yuri and Lizzie. Benji decided it was time for a nap. Someone was watching her via video link. The secretary told her boss that they would arrive in less than 2 hours. The manager was surrounded by guards. She told her subordinate that it was time to get ready. The woman said to herself discontentedly that they should have done this from the very beginning. The boss looked very sternly at her subordinate. A green snake appeared on her neck. The main character told his girlfriends that by some miracle they had made it home safely. Yuri explained to his interlocutors that the trip had been very eventful. He added that when they returned, it was very difficult to get rid of the girl. The main character told his interlocutors that none of this mattered, since they were finally home. The girl Lizzie suddenly fell silent. She looked at the main character with great attention. The girlfriend abruptly threw the guy aside. He was very surprised and scared. Suddenly, a loud explosion was heard near the entrance to the building. The main character was very scared. Yuri became very worried. He looked at his girlfriend lying on the ground. The girls were scared. They realized that someone had already been in their house before they arrived. The woman inside the building told Lizzie that her senses had indeed become dull. The stranger told the girl that before she would have been able to easily notice the trap just by looking at it. The woman told strictly that she was supposed to be the successor, but she had sunk so low. The woman looked very angrily at the girl in front of her. She said that she was very disappointed. Lizzie called the stranger, who came Mom. The main character was very surprised. Benji happily asked Elizabeth what she was doing there. The woman replied that she had come to do what the mercenary had failed to do. Yuri stood frightened next to his girlfriend. The woman said that she wanted to take her daughter back home. The main character was scared and worried. He didn't know what to say to the unfamiliar woman. The girls wanted to somehow justify themselves to Elizabeth. The woman angrily shouted at her interlocutors to keep quiet. The woman blamed Benji severely for not being able to return Lizzie, and so the mercenary decided to stay with the girl. Elizabeth told Benji that she would no longer leave all this to an incompetent person like her. The girls lay on the ground. The main character was very scared. He called his girlfriend by name in a breaking voice. The girl asked her mother for forgiveness. She added that her father had already spoken about it. Lizzie looked at her mother very sternly. She wanted to tell her something again. The girl sternly and clearly informed Elizabeth that she would not return. The woman was very surprised. She never expected such a stern answer from her daughter. Elizabeth came to her senses. She realized that her daughter would not agree to her conditions. The woman sternly told the girl that she was old enough to challenge her mother. Elizabeth glared at her daughter and said that it was very wrong to ignore the words of her parents. The woman angrily called her surprised daughter a precious grizzly bear. Lizzie screamed loudly. The main character called his girlfriend in fear. Yuri couldn't understand what happened to his girlfriend. The woman told her daughter that she hadn't heard her full name for a long time. The main character asked his girlfriend in fear if she was okay. The main character got scared. At the last moment, he realized that something had happened to his girlfriend. The girl reached out and grabbed Yuri by the neck, very unexpectedly. The main character whispered the girl's name with all his might. He could barely look at her. Lizzie looked at her friend with an unseeing gaze. She became as if a stranger. Elizabeth explained to the guy that she had flipped the switch. Lizzie would no longer hear the main character. The girl held the guy by the neck with her hand. The woman said that the true form of Lizzie is the prodigy from the Springfield clan. The protagonist felt like he was suffocating. The woman told the guy that he was seeing the true form of Lizzie Grizzly Springfield in front of him. Yuri felt like he couldn't get away from his girlfriend. It was hard for him. Lizzie looked at her friend with a glassy, unseeing gaze. Yuri shouted at the girl to wake up. He wanted to explain to her that he was her friend. Elizabeth explained to the guy that all his words were useless. The woman explained that the girl would not stop so easily. The Springfield clan switch is not so simple. Elizabeth explained to the protagonist that right here and now, he would become the first victim for this girl. At this moment, Vicky suddenly appeared from the side. She decided to hit the girl in flight. Lizzie felt a huge and demonic power inside her. She prepared to fight back. Victoria looked at her ex-girlfriend with fear. She realized that it was time to act. Lizzie threw the mercenary who was attacking her aside with one blow. Victoria was surprised. She didn't raise it. Did Lizzie really become so obedient after she heard a few words? Vicky angrily shouted at her interlocutor to look at who she was holding. The girl held the main character by the throat. Victoria shouted at her interlocutor that she had completely lost her mind. Lizzie was absolutely calm. She looked at her rival with an unseeing gaze. At this time, Benji appeared. She decided to attack Lizzie with a strong blow of her hand. The mercenary realized that she needed to neutralize the girl as quickly as possible. Lizzie noticed another rival appear next to her. She turned to face her. Lizzie hit Benji with her hand with all her might, and with all her might, she flew to the side. The mercenary realized that her opponent was very fast. She decided to continue fighting. Benji realized with fear that she didn't have time to react. She was holding the main character in her arms. Victoria decided to help her friends. She rushed at Lizzie. The girl threw people far to the side with very powerful blows of her hands. Benji told the beaten men that they really thought they could do something if they tried. The mercenary told her interlocutors that they should be well informed. Lizzie is the ward and daughter of their clan of assassins. Victoria said with displeasure that the girl Lizzie was constantly hiding all this from them. The mercenary explained that Lizzie was not in that form. She could not use that much power. Vicky excitedly asked her interlocutor what kind of switch this was. Benji explained to her interlocutor so that she could now focus on the main thing. Elizabeth sternly said that Benji took the protagonist's side. The mercenary decided to justify herself to the woman. She decided to protect the guy. Benji explained to the woman that she didn't want to side with the main character. She always wanted the best for Lizzie. The mercenary looked at Yuri. She explained to the woman that she had only recently changed her mind. Benji said that she only changed her mind after what she had seen all this time. The mercenary explained that Lizzie needed a guy like the main character. Benji added that Yuri gives the girl something that no one else can give. Victoria listened attentively to the mercenary. Benji explained to the woman that she would not be able to eliminate Yuri so easily. The mercenary said that Elizabeth would have to go through her completely first. The woman looked angrily at her interlocutor. She didn't know what to say to her. Benji got into a fighting stance. She told the woman that they could start at any time. Elizabeth said calmly that she would return with Lisa. The woman said she did not come to fight her own family. She added that she had accomplished her task. Elizabeth said that she would take care of the protagonist and Victoria after she returned home. Vicky was very excited. The woman told her daughter that it was time for her to go with her. Victoria looked at the mercenary standing next to her. Elizabeth said that she was taking the girl to where she belonged. Benji was really angry. She didn't want Lizzie to just leave now. The woman told her daughter that she was inviting her into her house. The mercenary looked angrily at Elizabeth. Elizabeth and Lizzie headed towards the gate, with guards walking alongside them. The main character was left unconscious lying near the wall. He didn't have the strength to get up. Lizzie got into the car. She sat and looked ahead without any emotion. Victoria was very worried. She called her friend in a frightened voice. There was a mercenary nearby. Benji turned around and looked to the side in fear. She suddenly remembered her friend. The mercenary got scared. She realized that the guy had just disappeared somewhere. The girl looked and saw a broken wall. She couldn't understand where Yuri was now. At this time, Elizabeth was riding with Lizzie in the car. They were both silent. The woman asked the girl with interest why she had become quiet now. The woman told her daughter that she just wanted to show that she didn't want to talk to her mother. Elizabeth put her hand on the girl's face. She said that none of this was important. The mother told her daughter that she was not there to suck up to her. The car pulled up to the private jet. Elizabeth told her daughter that she only wanted the best for her. The woman told the girl that they had finally arrived at the place. She added that there was no more time to waste and that they needed to go back. The girl was getting ready to board the plane. Suddenly, someone stopped her from behind. Lizzie turned around in fear. The guy said that they hadn't wasted any time. The main character stood near the car. He said sternly that his girlfriend Lizzie would not go anywhere. Elizabeth and the guards stopped and looked at the guy in surprise. Yuri said with confidence in his voice to the woman that only she would return along with her people. Elizabeth asked the guy in surprise how he could follow them. The woman explained that the main character had gotten caught on a car. It was very doable. Elizabeth told the protagonist that he was very reckless. Yuri responded to the woman that she treated her daughter very badly. The woman explained to the guy that he could not see anything between the mother and daughter. Elizabeth told the protagonist that all this had absolutely nothing to do with his world. Yuri told the disgruntled woman that this was the third time he had heard this excuse. He asked her how much longer her family would have to repeat the same words. At this time, Victoria and the mercenary were racing at full speed in a car. Yuri asked the woman, did she really think that Lizzie didn't know all this, or didn't understand the seriousness of belonging to another world? The protagonist explained that Lizzie left not only because she was being strangled. The girl actually knew it very well. The girl simply wanted to find someone who would create something more with her. Yuri explained that being together means overcoming the difficulties that people face. The protagonist explained to the woman that the other world was a difficulty that they had to overcome. Elizabeth looked at the protagonist skeptically. She said that his words were very arrogant. The woman angrily set the girl on her to deal with the main character. Lizzie rushed at full speed to try to hit the guy. The girl swung her hand to knock down the main character with one blow on the move. Yuri very quickly and deftly dodged his girlfriend's blows to the sides. The woman was very surprised. She couldn't believe that Yuri could dodge any attacks. Elizabeth looked closely at everything that was happening. It all seemed impossible to her. The woman thought that the guy had managed to highlight something from his observations earlier. Elizabeth thought that an ordinary person would not be able to resist Lizzie. The woman got angry. She didn't like that her daughter didn't listen to her at all. Elizabeth thought that children were very naughty. They were inattentive to those who wanted to help them. The woman pulled out a gun. She shouted that if the child couldn't do something, then the parent would finish his job. A shot rang out. The girl got scared. She turned around and noticed that a wound had appeared on her body. The guards were very scared. They couldn't believe that the woman shot her daughter. Lizzie stood quietly and silently on the ground. She could no longer move. Blood from the girl's wound began to drip onto the ground next to her. There was silence all around. Elizabeth was still standing and holding the gun in her hands. She silently looked at her daughter. Yuri hugged his girlfriend. He was very scared because she was injured. Yuri called his girlfriend's name in fear. He saw that she had a serious wound. Elizabeth pointed the gun at the girl and told her to step aside. The woman screamed in fear that the girl had been able to turn off the switch herself. Yuri hugged his girlfriend tenderly. The girl called him by name. Blood was dripping from her friend's wound onto the ground. She said it had been a tough time for her. She had to do her best this time, but it had been tough. Lizzie told the guy that she did it and didn't leave anything for him. The girl smiled at the protagonist and said that they did everything right together. She confirmed that she was back. Yuri hugged the girl very happily. He was very excited. The main character congratulated his girlfriend on her return. He said that she had tried hard. Elizabeth angrily shouted from the side to the young men that she would not allow this and would not put up with it. The woman pulled the trigger on the gun. She screamed that she wouldn't let that happen. Benji was making strange gestures at that time. The main character and his girlfriend decided that a mercenary could be scary if she was serious. Benji explained to the woman that it was all over from the moment Lizzie made her decision. The mercenary told this woman that her job as a mother to the girl was now complete. The main character was at home with the girls. One of the girlfriends asked what time it was. Yuri told the girl that she had been sleeping for a very long time. Victoria told Lizzie that her clothes would fall apart if she ran so much. The girl said that this would be a small problem for her compared to when her grades dropped. Dahi looked in the window. She told her friends that she came to them because they did not go out. The main character turned to the side. He noticed a calendar on the table. Yuri approached the calendar himself. He decided to study it carefully. The guy looked at the calendar. He realized that today was some kind of special day. One of the girlfriends called the guy and reminded him that they were late. The main character remembered that a whole year had already passed since the day Benji came to them.